Douluo, starting from the spirit of time worm, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451, Cause of Damage. The agreement with Zhu Renshin was to set off the next day and have one night's rest point. There is no night in Eagle Fang City. In this twisted and sealed space, the night is like day. It's just that the light is much dimmer than normal daytime, and it looks a bit closer to the scene at dusk. Amon sat on the white tower of the Zhu family, staring at the city that looked a bit dark yellow under the light, reflected from the rock wall. His eyes deep and calm. Yan came to his side and asked softly, "What are you looking at?" "Scenery. Such a unique city is rare." Amon replied with a smile. "I always feel like something is wrong," Yan said with a frown. Amon's smile remained unchanged. "What do you mean, Shen?" Yan replied, "The Zhu family's space wormhole seems to be shaking constantly and malfunctioning, but it feels a bit weird. I have seen damaged space wormholes before. After damage, the shape of the wormhole will gradually break into space debris and scatter. It will not be so stable." Amon was non-committal. "Maybe it's just the degree of damage, Shen." Yan nodded. "Maybe. Anyway, let's pay more attention to that guy tomorrow and look after each other to avoid being tricked by him." Amon nodded. "That's it. When the time comes, we will help each other. If the Zhu family dares to play tricks, we will join forces to deal with them." In a secret room of the Zhu family, an old man with sunken eye sockets, bulging cheekbones, and a few sparse hair hanging on his scalp, as if he was skinny and bones, was sitting on a low bed. He was dressed in black and had a purple mark on his face, which looked like a snake. The marks are lifelike. If you look carefully, you can feel that they are slowly coming together, as if they are alive. The old man's face kept twitching, and his expression showed a bit of pain. The severe pain made it difficult for him to control his breath, and the terrifying momentum filled the secret room, making it difficult for people to approach. He let out a painful roar, and the terrifying sound waves hit the secret room, making the whole secret room tremble. The door creaked open, and Zhu Renshin walked in. He bowed respectfully to the old man in black. "Ancestor, didn't I say don't come over if you have nothing to do?" the old man in black said in a hoarse and deep voice. "The fire ruse has been discovered. I will go get it with others tomorrow." The old man in black showed a hint of joy on his face. Okay, this damn 5 snakes heart-eating curse can finally be solved." Seeing that Zhu Renshin had not left, he asked, "Is there anything else?" Zhu Renshin said, "There is something wrong with the family's space wormhole. After the ancestor recovers, I hope it can be repaired as soon as possible." The old man frowned. "Why did it break so quickly this time? Didn't I just maintain it half a year ago?" Zhu Renshin responded, "Well, I broke it on purpose. The red python guarding the fire ooze is a bit tricky, and I can't deal with it alone. In order to give those Douluo warriors who are eager to use the space wormholes a greater chance of agreeing to help me get the fire ooze, I deliberately created problems with the wormholes. I promise them that if the ancestor recovers from his injuries, the space wormhole will be repaired as soon as possible for them to use." The old man in black gave Zhu Renshin a strange look and nodded. "Okay." The dim light gradually turned to bright white, and it was daytime. The 3 of them met at the ticket office at the entrance to the inner city. Zhu Renshin said cheerfully, "How are you two resting? If you are ready, let's set off." Shen, Yan and Amon both nodded. The 3 of them flew towards a tunnel in the rock mass on a huge griffin. The way Daoki transformed wings was a bit eye-catching, and could easily be noticed by the other 2 families in the city, who had powerful Douluo warriors. After entering the tunnel, Zhu Renshin tapped the griffin's back with his toes, spread out a pair of cyan fighting wings behind him, and shot away into the distance. Behind Shenyan was a pair of earth yellow wings, following closely behind. The 2 of them glanced in Amon's direction from the corner of their eyes and were startled. There was nothing behind him. However, after careful observation, I found that behind Amon, there was actually a pair of transparent wings with only a vague outline visible. The 2 of them breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Just now they almost thought this was a strong Daozang warrior. The 3 people were very fast, After half an hour of traveling, they flew out of the long tunnel and came to the outside world. The sky was still gloomy, and the ever-present strong wind formed a thick layer of clouds, blocking half of the sunlight. On the ground, in the vast forest sea, the roars of monsters could be heard from time to time. At this time, Zhu Renchen and Shenyan couldn't help but be more vigilant. There were countless dangerous monsters living in this vast mountain. If they were careless, even the powerful Dao Huang might encounter a lot of dangers. Only Amon still looks carefree at this moment. This is just a clone, but the main body is controlled remotely through the connection of the Fire of Destiny point. After flying for more than an hour, Zhu Renchen reminded in a low voice, "You two, be careful, this is already the territory of the two red pythons, and we are about to approach their nest." The sea of trees gradually became sparse, and a wide open space appeared in front of the three people. Above the open space stood huge rocks dozens of feet high. On the largest stone in the center, there was a giant snake with black and red scales and blood red flames between its scales. It was lazily lying on the stone basking in the sun. After sensing the breath of the three people approaching quickly, its eyes became dangerous, its body slightly raised, and its tongue spit out lightly, with a fierce look in its eyes. "Snake King, I want to exchange some fire slurry. For this, I'm willing to pay a 6th level fire Ganoderma as the price." I wonder if the Snake King agrees. The wisdom of the 6th level monster is no less than that of humans, so Zhu Renchen asked politely, first courtesy and then force. "Humph, if you had this attitude when you first came here a few days ago, I could consider it, but now, no chance. Wherever you came from, go back." The 6th level peak red snake python coldly refused. "Before, I didn't know that this was your nest, the Snake King, and it was you who fought as soon as we met." Zhu Renchen sighed slightly. "You still want me to be polite to a thief who broke into my house without permission?" A disdainful snort came from the red snake python. While they were confronting each other, another slightly smaller red snake python also emerged from the natural cave under the boulder, staring at the three people in the sky with a cold look. "Since the Snake King is unwilling, don't blame us for being rude." Zhu Renchen's eyes darkened, and his tone was cold. He whispered to the two of them, "Act according to the plan." Chapter 452. The Zhao family was attacked. Zhu Renchen and Shenyan took the dragon and tiger pill respectively, and their momentum suddenly increased sharply. The raging fighting spirit lingered around them. The surge of power gave them the illusion that they could directly kill the two red pythons. "Do it, the medicine will only take effect in 10 minutes. Zhu Renchen shouted. Then Amon took action. He raised his right hand, straightened his thumb and index finger, and shot a small ball of white, sea blue, and cyan flames intertwined forward. In the horrified gazes of the two red pythons, the three flames suddenly converged, and the scorching power swept across all directions. Hot smoke slowly rose into the sky, and large clouds of fire filled the air. This, Zhu Renchen and Shenyan looked at Amon's masterpiece with dull eyes. The power brought by the elixir had nowhere to release, and they were both horrified and uncomfortable. "Didn't you tell me earlier that you had this strength?" 2 5th grade elixirs were wasted. Amon muttered to himself softly. "It was obviously a job to steal things, but I ended up throwing a bomb. When did I become a reckless man?" However, the Buddha's Wrath Lotus is so easy to use. Is this the joy of a reckless man? You don't need to think about anything, you just need to attack. When the smoke and dust dissipated, the weaker of the two red pythons had made no sound, and the stronger one was also scorched black, lying on the ground dying, looking like it would not last long. The ultimate wind death. Amon pointed his index finger at the head of the still living red python, and ended its life in an understatement. He opened his mouth and whispered, "It's done." "Oh, yes." Zhu Renchen nodded. The two of them looked at Amon with a hint of awe in their eyes. The aura that rose up when the two red pythons were preparing to fight them just now cannot be lied about. They were indeed terrifying monsters that they could only barely fight after taking the elixir, but they died like this without any resistance. In the hands of Amon. This kind of strength is probably enough to rival the strong men of Daozang. "Let's go and see the treasure guarded by this red python." Amon stepped forward first. The other two followed him. As if he was the leader, Shenyan turned his head and cast a questioning look at Zhu Renchen. "Are you telling me this is a two-star fighting emperor?" In response, Zhu Renchen could only respond with a helpless smile. He did not expect that the situation would turn out like this. There was a half-exposed pit under the huge rock. In the hole, numerous bones covered the ground. Among the piles of bones deep in the cave, a bright red light caught the attention of the 3 people. Amon didn't step forward and glanced at Zhu Renshin. The latter's face showed excitement, but he did not relax his vigilance. With a wave of his right hand, the wind of his palm flew across and brought up a large pile of bones. After the pile of bones was blown away, what was buried underneath was revealed. This is a black rock with red lines running above it. The lines are emitting a fiery red light, like magma. Zhu Renshin turned his right hand into a palm knife and drew a wind blade, cutting the rock in half. Then he waved his sleeves and vindictiveness wrapped around the red warm liquid inside and put it into a jade bottle that had been prepared long ago. After doing this, he turned around, bowed to Amon and said, "Thank you, Mr. Huang, for your help." Then he looked at Shen Yan, who was hesitant to speak. "Thank you very much, Mr. Shen, for accepting the invitation. I will never break my promise for the agreed remuneration." Shen Yan smiled. "I took advantage of this. I didn't put in much effort. I just came here and got this kind of gain." After they landed, the lightning turtle, which took the initiative to collect the loot, vibrated its thin fighting wings and flew back to Amon's shoulders. It spit out the magic cores of the 2 red pythons. Amon stretched out his right hand to catch them and put them into the ring. Amon looked at Zhu Renshin and asked, "Can the previous reward be exchanged for another one? I'm very interested in the secret method of barbarian fusion of magical beasts. The level does not need to be too high." Zhu Renshin was stunned for a moment and replied without hesitation, "Mr. Huang has helped my Zhu family so much. If I shirk such a small thing, wouldn't it make people laugh?" The 3 of them didn't waste any time and returned to Eagle Fang City. After getting their things at the entrance to the inner city, Zhu Renshin said, "You two, the promised reward will be given later, and the maintenance of the space gate will have to wait until the ancestors have detoxified and recovered, which will take about 3 days. There will be an auction tomorrow at K's house in the south of the city. If you are interested, you can go and take a look." Wu Tan City, Zio family pointed, was a dark night, with clouds covering the sky, and there was no light. Led by Jayalibi and Abapa, a group of people quietly approached the Zio family under the cover of night. "You have been against me for so long, and today I will destroy the entire Zio family." Galibi pinched the crystal monocle on his right eye and smiled gloomily. Abapa pinched the socket of his right eye and said with a smile, "The Zio family dares to provoke a 3rd-grade alchemist. They are simply asking for death." Along with them, there were 5 others who were shrouded in black robes. 4 of them were exuding a faint black mist, and their faces could not be seen clearly. Only a pair of eyes were shining with a faint light, which was particularly penetrating. This was a strong man that the 3rd-level alchemist who wanted to avenge his apprentice Liuz paid a high price to invite. "Sir, the Zio family is ahead," Galibi said respectfully to the black-robed man without black mist. "Then spread out and form a circle of encirclement. Be sure not to let go of any of them. It's up to you to decide what to do." The leading man in black robes said to the 4 people who exuded mist and had cold auras, "He, I'll go to the east. He, I'll go to the south. He, I'll block the north, west." After the directions were assigned, the 4 black-robed men disappeared into the darkness. After they left, Jayalibi asked through mental communication, 4 guardians? "No, they are just 4 soul envoys under the Guardian Wu, all of whom are at the Daohuang level. They are more than enough to deal with the Zio family." The leading black-robed man raised his head slightly, revealing a young face. It was Yan Meng. "Where is the Guardian Wu? Didn't he come?" Abapa showed a trace of doubt and also communicated with the spirit. "He is here, watching secretly. We will deliberately open a gap to let Ziozen break through. After Ziozen leaves, the Guardian Wu will take him away and make him missing." Yan Meng replied. The corners of Jayalibi's mouth slowly curled up and he smiled. "Speaking of which, except for the 4 soul envoys and the Guardian Wu, all the people present are Amon. Should we attack them? A Dao Zhang, if he attacks with all his strength, should be within our hunting range." Yan Meng shook his head. "I'm not sure if there are stronger people from the Soul Palace. The Zio family is too special. If you want to replace the Guardian Wu, you shouldn't do it at this time. At the Zhao family's residence, the Amons with the faces of the Zhao family members were holding their monocles or eye sockets in different postures. With calm faces, the Amons from the Jiao family and the Oba family took action. One after another, screams came from the mouths of the Zhao family's Amons. Their expressions became terrified, and their voices were shrill. Enemy. Attack. As the sharp whistle sounded, all the Zhao family Amons moved. They were like a normal family attacked by a strong enemy. The men took up weapons to resist the enemy, and the women gathered with their children and began to evacuate. The laughter of GGG echoed in the darkness before they came. The 4 soul envoys were specially told by Yan Meng not to use the soul catching chains they usually used, so at this moment they could only use their palms to extract the souls of the Zhao clan people one by one and put them into the soul bag. Amon's soul can also transform into the same appearance as the body, so no abnormality was detected. Chapter 453, a capable general under Emperor Hunshan. In the soul realm, the whole sky was filled with a faint black mist, and the cold breath permeated every corner. The deep coldness that penetrated into the bone marrow was so strong that it seemed to be indissoluble, making people feel creepy. However, the people living here have long been accustomed to this coldness, and even the weakest descendants regard it as normal. On the top of the highest mountain, a man wearing grey clothes, who looked about 30 years old, with a handsome face, extremely bright eyes, and elegant like a scholar, stood on the edge of the cliff, overlooking the entire soul realm. The leader of the soul clan, Emperor Hunshan, one of the most powerful people in this world. Now that the Dao Emperor has become an illusory legend, the level they are at represents the peak level of the Daoqi continent. Behind him, a man in a black robe was half kneeling. His face was ordinary, and his hands were slightly rough. Chief, he said respectfully, Hun Misheng, the clan's plan is about to start. You should personally watch over the Zhao clan and make sure there are no mistakes. This is the first step in the plan. Emperor Hunshan said indifferently. Don't worry, clan leader. I have sent people to the northwest continent and will soon have results. Hun Misheng replied respectfully. Well, go down. After Hun Misheng left the soul realm, he came to the soul palace, heavenly palace, and called the deputy hall master. How is the Zhao family's situation? This is a task assigned by the higher-ups. It is very important. You should personally watch over it and cannot afford to make mistakes. Hun Misheng said indifferently. Don't worry, hall master. I have sent people to the northwest region and will soon have results. Well, Hun Misheng nodded. The deputy hall master of the soul palace left the human palace and tore through space to come to the earth palace. He called the second heavenly venerable bone ghost saint and asked, how is the situation at the Zhao family? This is a task assigned by the higher-ups. It is very important. You should keep an eye on it yourself, and you can't make any mistakes. Bone Ghost Saint replied in a hoarse and low voice. Don't worry, Deputy Hall Master. I have sent people to the Jayamar Empire, and there will be results soon. After the two talked for a while, Bone Ghost returned to the branch hall where he was responsible for guarding, and summoned an elder. How is the situation at the Zhao family? This is a task assigned by the higher-ups. It is very important. You should keep an eye on it yourself, and there will be no mistakes. The elder of the Soul Hall said respectfully. Don't worry, sir. I have sent people to the Jayamar Empire. According to the time, it is almost time for him to take action, and there will be results soon. Northwest Continent Jayamar Empire, Wutan City, Zhao family. In the deep night, a man in a black robe, covered in black fog, stood in the air. The Guardian Wu looked at the chaos in the Zhao clan's garrison below with a serious and solemn expression. This was a mission ordered by the superiors, and it was very important, so he did not send a soul messenger to perfunctorily deal with it, but watched it in person. What happened? Amon, who looked like the third elder, was angry and a little frightened. It was Jalibi and Abapa, these two sons of a bitch. They joined forces. How dare you? Do you think that my Zhao family is easy to bully? Where are the guards of the clan? Follow me to meet the enemy. The elder had already fought with Abapa, Wind, Sand Palm, Heavy, Rockfist. The two fought fiercely, and the blue and khaki fighting skills kept colliding, making bursts of explosions. The guards of the Zhao family fought with the people of the Oba family and the Jiao family, and from time to time someone screamed and fell down. Although there were Amons on both sides, they were like enemies meeting, and they hit the vital points with every move, without holding back. The Amons on both sides seemed to enjoy it very much. Because of certain restrictions, Amons generally could not attack each other, and there were not many opportunities for such large-scale gunfights. 4. The Alliance. An Amon wearing the clothes of the Jiali family suddenly shouted on the Zhao family side. Another Amon shouted unwillingly, for the family. The sound of weapons colliding was everywhere. The Amons who pretended to be old, weak, women and children, and could not participate in the battle showed disappointment on their faces. TSK, such a lively event, I can't participate. The clones in Wotan City are no longer useful, and naturally need to withdraw in a reasonable way. It's a pity. It's obviously very interesting. Zhao Zan walked out of the house. He was remotely controlled by the real Zhao Zan, and his face was livid at this moment. Even if the people who were slaughtered were not real members of the Zhao family, even if he had some understanding of the Amon race, he still felt angry when he saw the Amons die one after another in front of him. In addition to anger, he also felt a sense of fear. If it weren't for the fact that the ancestor Zhao Yuanshan secretly moved the family, then the people who were killed at this moment would be the real members of the Zhao family. Zhao Zan, who was in the new Zhao family territory in the Monster Mountain range, looked at Wu Meng and asked, "Ancestor, the Jiao family and the Oba family have joined forces to deal with my Zhao family. Now the brothers of the Amon family have suffered heavy casualties. What should we do?" That is just a pawn pushed out in the open. The real culprit is the enemy of our Zhao family, the Soul Clan, whom I mentioned to you before. Don't take it to heart. After today, the Soul Clan will probably think that my Zhao family has been removed from the list. From open to covert, our activities will be much more convenient in the future. Wu Meng replied with a smile. He glanced at Zhao Zan and touched the lower edge of his right eye socket with the knuckle of his right index finger. As for now, think about what you would do if you were really in that situation. Practice your acting skills well. There will be many occasions in the future. Zhao Zan took a deep breath, brewed his anger again, controlled Zhao Zan Amon to rush out of the house, and shouted, "Galibi, you dare? What am I afraid of? Today is the day when your Zhao family will be exterminated." The green Dao Ki on Jialibi's body flowed, and the momentum of the great Dao Master burst out. Zhao Zan jumped up and pounced on Jialibi. Lion, mountain crack, Galibi was not to be outdone, and the green Dao Ki gathered on his fist. Green wind spin fist, bang. The green and red Dao Ki collided, making a loud noise. The surrounding Amons admired with admiration. "You are worthy of being the patriarch. You are so powerful, with such a mighty force. If I go up, I'm afraid I can't even take a single move." The Solen voice who participated in the massacre of the Zhao family under the Wu protector wanted to laugh when they heard it. Just two great fighting masters, nothing more than ants. The guardian Wu who was observing from the air also sighed a little. He was also a member of the Soul Clan, otherwise he would not have been entrusted with the important task of dealing with the Zhao clan. Although he didn't know much, he knew how powerful the Zhao clan was in the past. There are only a few of these big and small cats left. Let this guardian put an end to you. It is my honor to personally end the Zhao clan, one of the 8 ancient clans. Chapter 454 Auction. The 3 major families in Wotan City were already equally powerful, although the Zhao family had a tendency to surpass the other 2 families with the help of the elixir left by Zhao Yan before his departure and the secret support of Middle Auction House. The general trend was not yet established and could not compare with the other 2 families joining forces. In addition, there were several Solen voices mixed in the crowd. Although the frequency of their attacks was not high, every time they attacked, a member of the Zhao family would die. The balance of the battle soon slid towards the alliance between the Jiali family and the Oba family. Third elder, you take some young people to go first, and the first elder and the second elder will cover the rear with me. Zhao Zan issued such an order with a clear mind. Zhao Zan observed the reactions of the first elder and the second elder. he did not forget that they were actually members of the Amon clan pretending to be. He was still afraid of this strange race. There was also a test component in issuing orders at this moment. Test whether the members of the Amon clan were really fearless, and whether they would really obey their orders. As the chief of the Amon clan said, the Amons who pretended to be members of the Zhao family faithfully carried out Zhao Zhen's orders. The latter keenly discovered that the reaction of Amon, who pretended to be the three elders, was a little fake. If someone familiar with them, it would be easy to tell. Seeing Amon's mistake, Zhao Zhen was slightly relieved. It is not terrible to have mistakes, which means that Amon's replacement is not impeccable. If everything is exactly the same as the original, and people close to him cannot find it, that is terrifying and horrifying. After fighting with Jollibee, Zhao Zhen suddenly broke out to the periphery. He shouted loudly, "Jollibee, I, Zhao Zhen, have remembered what happened today, and I will report it in the future." Zhao Zhen did not want to escape, but pretended to escape to lure Jollibee to chase him. Putting aside the factors of Amon and the factors of the Soul Clan, and simply facing the encirclement of the two families, Zhao Zhen felt that he would probably make such a choice. Jollibee cooperated very well, and brought a lot of people to chase him as Zhao Zhen expected. During the chase, Zhao Zhen came to the forest behind. The Guardian Wu saw the opportunity and kidnapped Zhao Zhen. The most important target was already in hand. He sent a message to his soul envoys, "The rest is up to you. Listen to the boy's advice. I'm going back first." After the Guardian Wu left, a soul envoy looked at Yan Meng and asked, "What should we do next?" Yan Meng looked at him in surprise, wondering why he asked such a simple question. After being stared at by his idiot eyes for a while, the soul envoy coughed dryly. "The Guardian asked us to listen to your advice, Wu." Meng replied, "Just follow the steps, kill people, collect souls, but be careful not to use distinctive means such as soul locks. If someone investigates today's incident, they can only learn from Jollibee that Zhao Zhen is missing. As long as there is no problem on our side, no one can be sure that it was the Soul Palace who did it." Zhao Zhen's disappearance may also be due to his own escape using some method and then hiding. In Eagle Fang City, Amon rode on the lightning turtle on the road. The aura of the 6th level magic beast was slightly released, and the pedestrians in front of him consciously made way. The injury of the Zhu family ancestor has not recovered yet, and Amon decided to go to the auction mentioned by Zhu Renshin. He was still quite interested in this. After all, there were many scenes of picking up bargains at the auction in Dupo. It's time to test your luck and vision. The lightning turtle shrank to the size of a palm and stopped on Amon's shoulder. Although there was no invitation, the auction house still arranged a VIP seat for him. A 6th level beast pet is still very convincing. Sitting in the VIP box with an excellent view, there was a beautiful maid arranged by the auction house with revealing clothes. Amon looked at the maid without looking away, causing a blush on the latter's face. "Foxes, tail and ears, are you from the barbarian tribe?" Amon asked. "Well, I come from a small tribe under the jurisdiction of the savage wolf tribe." The maid replied, "Can you integrate the secrets?" The maid shook her head. "Although the requirements for learning the secrets in the tribe are not high, I was sold here by human traffickers before I learned it." Hearing this, Amon immediately lost interest in her, moved his eyes away, and focused on the auction items. The auctioneer was a charming and beautiful woman, with a strange style in every move. One by one, the auction items were brought to the display stand. Some were sold at high prices, some had very few bidders, and some were too unpopular and failed to be sold. Amon was not interested in looking at it. There was nothing suitable for him, no things that were greatly underestimated and could be picked up, and even no strange things with unknown uses. He sighed. It is indeed a rare situation to encounter things beyond the level at the auction. It is normal for auctions of the same level to have auction items of the same level. Most of the participants in this auction were Daoling Dao Wang. In Amon's perception, there were only 5 Dao Huangs, including himself. One of them was Shenyan, who was invited by Zhu Renshin together with Amon. Another person was not in the audience, but behind the booth. He should be the Dao Huang strongman from the K family behind the auction. Things that can interest ordinary Dao Huangs are enough to be the finale of this auction. But things that are of great value in the eyes of ordinary Douluoans are just ordinary in the eyes of Amon. Just as the auction was coming to an end, a piece of thing about 10 feet high and half a foot wide was sent to the booth. The charming auctioneer introduced with a smile. Everyone knows that the displane opposite the Eagle Fang City space wormhole is rich in amber stones. According to our appraisal, this piece of amber stone was probably formed 7,000 years ago. We don't know what is inside it. Such a large piece of amber stone has a high probability of being shipped. If you open something ancient, it is not a dream to get rich overnight. Amber stone is a kind of crystal block formed naturally in energy-rich places, and something is often wrapped inside. Most of them were formed thousands or tens of thousands of years ago. If there are items, they are often treasures that can cause energy enrichment in that era. Such things are even more priceless now. In the displane opposite the space wormhole, there are many tribes that specialize in digging and mining amber stones as their main business. They do not cut the energy crystal blocks directly, but sell them, passing the risk of gambling to others and earning a stable income for themselves first. The probability of finding high value items in amber is not high, and second, there may be some dangers hidden in ancient objects. A special industry has been developed from this. Since it has become an industry, naturally there will be people who develop special skills and fighting skills for detecting amber stones. However, it is very difficult to detect the objects hidden inside through amber stones. And this difficulty will increase exponentially as the volume of the stone increases. Many of the participants in the auction are not visiting Eagle Fang City for the first time and know the ins and outs of it. But at this moment, they all showed great interest in the stone on the stage, because according to its volume, the K family estimated that they could only detect a very shallow part of its surface, and the situation in the inner layer could not be known. The auctioneer said slowly, to be honest, we have also checked this stone. After all, I also have a dream of getting rich overnight. Her self-mockery attracted a burst of laughter after the crowd quieted down. She continued, unfortunately, there is no feedback from the secret method. If anyone is interested, you can take a photo and take a gamble. I can guarantee that this amber stone is absolutely natural and has not been cut or spliced by humans. Amon's eyes lit up. Here it comes, a strange item with no apparent purpose. Now is the time to test luck and eyesight. Amon didn't know how lucky he was, and he didn't have the eyesight to see through the inside of the stone. But he wanted to take a gamble, because it was also very exciting and interesting. Chapter 455 Reward. Due to the preciousness of the item, this transaction is in the form of butter, and the starting price is a 5th level magic core. The auctioneer said in a tactful voice. A 5th level magic core. Such a price discouraged many people who were originally eager to try. For a while, there was a bit of a cold scene, and most of those who could afford this price were also waiting and hesitating whether to take a gamble. Although according to the general rule, the larger the amber stone, the greater the probability of containing ancient items. But this larger is only relative to ordinary small amber stones. If you want to bid for this, you have to be prepared to lose all your money. The auctioneer set his sights on the VIP seats and the few Daowang in the field. In the silence, Amon bid 1/5 level magic core. Looking at the VIP box where Amon was, the auctioneer smiled and said, guest number 47 bids 1/5 level magic core. Is there anyone who can bid higher? In the front row, a person in bright yellow clothes bid tentatively, 1/5 level magic core plus 1/4 level magic core. Guest number 21 bids 1/5 level magic core plus 1/4 level magic core. Is there anyone else bidding? Is there anyone else bidding? The auctioneer looked around the audience and asked, 2 5th level magic cores. A slightly hoarse voice came from another VIP seat. Amon continued without hesitation, 3 5th level magic cores. Hearing the carelessness in his tone, his eyes swept across the VIP box where he was, and felt that this casualness did not seem to be pretended. The VIP who was a little interested in this amber stone also fell silent. He was just a little interested, and did not want to pay too much for it, nor did he want to make enemies with another strong man. The auction was coming to an end, and there was nothing that could interest Amon anymore. After paying the auction money and taking out the goods, Amon returned to the hotel he rented. He slightly bent his right index finger, and a rough colorful, and huge stone appeared on the ground point. After looking at the stone with interest for a moment, Amon smiled. It's time to open the exciting blind box. A layer of wind blades appeared on his hand and kept spinning. 10 minutes later, the broken pieces of the stone filled the ground. The smile on Amon's face had long disappeared, and there was no expression. No, nothing. He even turned the amber stone into powder, but didn't see any difference. Amon took a deep breath and calmed down. His luck today didn't seem to be very good. The loss was within an acceptable range, and he didn't care about the 5th level magic core. He bought it with the mentality of buying a lottery ticket for fun. There was a knock on the door, and the lightning turtle slowly crawled to the door and opened the door. Zhu Renchen walked into the house and saw the gravel and powder all over the floor. With a hint of surprise in his eyes, Amon chuckled and explained, "I bought an interesting gadget, but I was not very lucky." Zhu Renchen took out a scroll and a jade slip and said with a smile, "This is the promised reward." The scroll is the fusion secret method of the subordinate branch of the barbarian snake tribe, and the information in the jade slip is some basic information about the northern continent. Recently, Amon stroked his monocle. "There is no latter item in our transaction." Zhu Renchen smiled unchanged. "I see that you are very interested in the northern continent, Mr. Huang, but when we chatted, I found that you don't seem to know much about the situation there, and a lot of information is wrong. So I took the initiative to order someone to compile a copy, which is a small gift." Amon nodded. "Thank you. This is what I urgently need." Zhu Renchen then said, "The ancestor has recovered today and is working on repairing the space wormhole. It is estimated that it will be able to be used normally tomorrow." He left the scroll and jade slip and left the hotel. Amon first picked up the scroll, and the soul power probed into it, and a somewhat complicated formula was imprinted in his mind. This is a secret method that can integrate the soul of snake monsters. It is not for self-use, but to inject the soul of monsters into the target's body to benefit the recipient. The snake people will inject the soul of snake monsters into the baby when it is just born, so that the baby can slowly adapt to it during the growth and development process. This can improve the cultivation qualifications to a limited extent, and many of the subsequent skills and fighting techniques are based on the integrated monster souls. After a simple understanding, Amon found that it seems that the monster souls that can be injected are not limited to snake souls, and the recipients are not limited to snake people. However, he thinks that in actual operation, if these two conditions are not met, the failure rate will probably increase greatly. This formula has many similarities with the secret book that Amon got from the snake people in the Taga Desert as Huashena, with only a few small details that are slightly different. The secret obtained as Huashena is more ancient and obscure, and the one sent by Zhu Renchen is easier to learn. The two probably come from the same source, but the latter has been improved by others. After reading the scroll, Amon picked up the jade slip. A stream of information flowed into his mind like a stream of water. After reading it, Amon's eyes became deep. According to the records of the Mohist school and the snake people, the barbarians in the northern continent are mainly composed of 10 tribes, divided into the upper 4 families and the lower 6 families, while the information given by Zhu Renchen is 9 families, among which the yellow family has disappeared. In the records of the Mohists, when the barbarians merged with the magic beasts, they merged with the bodies of the magic beasts. However, the introduction given by Zhu Renchen was similar to the information of the snake people. Most barbarians only merged with the beast souls, not the bodies of the magic beasts. It seems that during the migration of the snake people and the Mohists to the Jama Empire, the situation in the northern continent changed greatly, so that the yellow family, one of the 4 families in the original version, was removed from the list. In addition, the Mohists seemed to be a special one among the barbarians. They were the only ones who were studying the secret method of merging with the bodies of the magic beasts. In addition to these basic information, Zhu Renchen also mentioned a piece of information that caught Amon's attention. Among the 9 barbarian families today, the Manfeng tribe, which should have been the strongest, seemed to be fighting with some force and gradually weakened in the past 100 years when it comes to war. Amon almost reflexively thought of the Soul Palace. In order to collect souls and cover up themselves, they often launched proxy wars and provoked wars between local forces. Could it be that the weakness of the Manfeng tribe is related to the Soul Palace? He just thought about it for a while and didn't spend too much time on it. Among the barbarian tribes, the only ones he really cared about were the Mohist family and the Mohist family representing the barbarian snake tribe. These two families had what Amon needed. After putting the jade slip and the scroll into the ring, Amon raised his right hand and pinched the upper and lower edges of the monocle with his index finger and thumb, muttering, "I ran so far. I hope the complete secret method of the main line of the Mohist family and the secret method of the Mohist family will not disappoint me." Chapter 456. Call me Uncle Zhao and Ian-039. Lines give it to you. In the square of the inner city, an old man in black with deep eye sockets, protruding cheekbones, and a few sparse hairs on his scalp, standing under a huge vortex-shaped space wormhole. There was a little bit of twilight in his turbid eyes. He glanced at Amon standing on the side and smiled kindly. "I'm Zhu Ren, and I guess you must be Huang Tao. Thanks to you for killing the red snake python, otherwise I would have died." Amon shook his head and responded, "I'm just in a hurry to use the space wormhole, not to mention that you have also paid me." "Wait a minute, I will see what's wrong with the wormhole." Zhu Ren observed the wormhole for a while and found that the damage was very light and almost did not affect its use. He paused for a moment before he began to exert force. The space in his hand gradually twisted and the space wormhole trembled more violently. A stream of strong winds poured out from the wormhole, causing Zhu Ren to step back a few steps. A silver light flashed in Amon's eyes, and the power of space was presented in a more intuitive and obvious way. In Zhu Ren's hand, a ball of silver light shone, and the entire space wormhole was like a huge mirror that was thick around and thin in the middle. In the thick part around, there was a small missing piece near the lower edge, as if it was broken by something. Amon found that Zhu Ren did not actually repair the wormhole at the beginning, but pretended to be very strenuous there. After pretending for a long time, it took 2 or 3 seconds to fill the small gap on the wormhole. After a little thought, he understood his intention. If Zhu Ren just waved his hand and repaired the space wormhole lightly, it would give others the impression that their Zhu family actually had the ability to repair the wormhole before, but just wanted to use it to blackmail others and pretending to be strenuous. On the one hand, it can make others feel that the previous action of taking the fire slurry was meaningful, and it can also make others have some good feelings towards the Zhu family who fulfilled their promise to repair the wormhole as soon as possible. What they didn't expect was that Amon had a very deep grasp of the power of space, and this little trick couldn't be hidden from him at all. After reading it once, Amon seemed to be able to do the same kind of work, and it was quite easy. The reason why he didn't repair it directly before was that he lacked understanding of the characteristics and properties of the space wormhole. Zhu Ren wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with a smile, "I'm old and useless. I could repair this degree of damage in a short time before." Amon asked, "Is it usable?" Zhu Ren nodded. "It has been repaired." Renshin, hearing him calling him Zhu Renshin, immediately stepped forward and handed a palm-sized wooden boat to Amon. "This is a little gift from me to my friend. I hope you don't refuse it. The previous secret scroll is actually not worth much among the barbarians. Basically any great fighting master can do it, but the Zhu family doesn't have a better secret method." Zhu Ren stroked his beard. Amon didn't refuse and smiled. "Then I will be disrespectful to refuse it." He took the wooden boat and input fighting spirit. The palm-sized wooden boat instantly expanded and turned into a small black sailed boat with a length of 5 meters and a width of 1 meter. Amon boarded the spaceship and entered the space wormhole. In the outer city, Destiny. Amon looked up and looked at the vortex-shaped space wormhole suspended above the inner city. He squeezed his monocle and his face was calm. In a more remote pavilion in Cannon College, Zhao Mingru, wearing a linen-colored dress, was reading an ancient book. Compared with practicing and studying fighting skills, he prefers to read some historical things to enrich himself. The door was opened with a bang, and Zhao Meng, who was dressed in black, had a beautiful face and a charming figure, walked in. "What? Do you want to give me the sea heart flame?" Her tone was a little anxious. Zhao Mingru put down the book, inserted the bookmark and closed it. "You don't look like you're begging for help. It's very rude to break into someone else's room without the owner's permission." Okay, I'll do it again." Xiao Meng left the room, knocked on the door with just the right amount of force, and asked, "Can I come in?" "No." Zhao Mingru answered without hesitation. "Fuck you." Xiao Meng kicked the door open, pulled out the chair opposite Zhao Mingru, and sat on it. "You look anxious." "Nonsense. Master Xiao Yan is coming to Canon Academy soon. I have to prepare the gift early." Xiao Meng rolled his eyes. "You didn't go to the Fallen Heart Flame in the Magna world to try? Maybe he's willing to give you the strange fire." Xiao Meng shook his head. "That's impossible. That's the trial left by the main body for Xiao Yan. It's impossible for him to get it easily. I can't give him the space fire either. The main body forbids me to do so. So after thinking about it, only the Sea Heart Flame on your side is possible. Well, it will be handed over to him sooner or later anyway. Since the main body has given you the right to decide freely, why not fulfill my wish and give it to him through my hand? Whatever you ask for, I will support you in the future." Zhao Mengru glanced at her and said in a strange tone, "Do you think you can fool me? You have been deprived of the right to vote. How can you support me?" Xiao Meng choked. She forgot about it and said embarrassedly, "Anyway, as Amon, we should help each other." Zhao Mingru was silent for a while, then slowly said, "Actually, it's not impossible to give it to you, but you have to agree to one condition of mine." "What condition?" Xiao Meng's eyes lit up. Zhao Mingru pulled the corner of his mouth and showed a slightly exaggerated smile. "It's very simple. Just call me Uncle Zhao. In the future, when Xiao Yan asks you where the Sea Heart Flame came from, you can tell him that Uncle Zhao from the clan gave it to you." Xiao Meng was stunned at first, then a gentle look appeared on her face, and she called sweetly, "Uncle Zhao, prove that she is shameless. It's okay to call me daddy." Zhao Mingru seemed to have expected her to have such a reaction. After a tut, he stood up, walked to the dark brown wooden table beside the bed, opened the drawer, and took out a cylindrical crystal container from it. The container is transparent, and the inside exudes a faint star-like brilliance. The light spots are like stars in the universe. This is the seal he set up with the characteristics of his door. Further inside, there was a flame that was like liquid and blue in color. "Ah, you just put the Sea Heart Flame in the drawer like this?" Xiao Meng was stunned. If she had known, she would have come and stolen it directly. "I have been waiting for you to come and steal it, but you seem to have forgotten even this almost instinctive behavior of Amon." Zhao Mingru showed a smile on his face. Xiao Meng spread his hands. "It's not just me. You should be similar. Without the corresponding authority, stealing by physical means is not pleasant at all." Chapter 457. Are you young Master Xiao Yan? Tagore Desert, Stone Desert City. Since Xiao Yan severely damaged the Sand Mercenary Group, the development of the Desert Iron Mercenary Group has been unrestrained, and gradually became the most powerful mercenary group in Stone Desert City. Xiao Ding and Xiao Li have also become important figures in the city. At the door of the Desert Iron Mercenary Group, which is not gorgeously decorated but very grand, a man covered in a black robe slowly walked in. His eyes were as deep as the starry sky, mysterious and deep. Two mercenaries guarding the door stopped him. "Stop, what are you doing here? Is this the Desert Iron Mercenary Group? Are Xiao Ding and Xiao Li here? I'm here to issue a task." The black-robed man responded. The two mercenaries guarding the door looked at each other. Although they were quite dissatisfied with the visitor calling the head of the group by name, they still said politely, "The two heads are now in the station. Please wait for a moment, we will go in to report." The mercenary who reported came out soon and walked in with a black-robed man. They came to the reception room and saw Xiao Li with a fierce look on his face and Xiao Ding, who gave people a gentle feeling. Seeing that the visitor was dressed in a black robe and his face was covered tightly, Xiao Ding frowned slightly. They disliked the commission of people who hide their identities the most. Maybe there would be some big trouble behind it. Xiao Li said directly, "Who are you? Can you show your true face? In our line of work, many people have been cheated by clients who hide their true face. If you insist on not showing your true face, the commission fee will be much higher than normal." "This face?" The black-robed man chuckled and took off the hood that covered most of his face, revealing his handsome face underneath. "My name is Yan Meng. I'm the disciple of Yan Shan, the last leader of Yan Lan sect, and the junior brother of Yan Yan Lan sect. Xiaoding's eyebrows moved, revealing a look of surprise. People from Yunlan sect, what are you looking for us for? Yun. Meng smiled. You have heard about what happened on Yunlan Mountain, right? Which one are you referring to? The matter between my senior sister and your brother, Xiao. Li touched the back of his head and smiled slightly awkwardly. So what you mean? Here, I have a fighting skill that my senior sister gave to Xiao Yan. I need someone to escort it to the Blackhorn region. Do you accept this mission or not? Yun Meng had a faint smile on his face. Fighting skill? What level? My senior sister asked me to come here specifically. Could it be a low level one? It's of low level ground rank. But this fighting skill is not from a legitimate source. You need to be careful when using it, and you can't leave anyone alive. Ground rank. Such a high level fighting skill made Xiao Li's breathing quicken a little. He said without any hesitation, I will definitely accept it. He then looked at Xiaoding, who nodded slightly. It just so happens that I also want to see Xiao Yanzi. I miss him so much. He then asked, is the 3-year agreement between my brother and your old sect master true? Yun Meng responded, it is true. Otherwise senior sister would not be so worried, and she also specially prepared a set of earth level fighting skills and spent a lot of energy on it. The journey to the Blackhorn region is long and very dangerous. I hope you can select the elite in the group and go to Cannon College with me. Xiao Ding nodded and said, I will make arrangements and explain what will happen after we leave. Then my second brother and I will accompany you. A handsome eagle fell from the sky and landed on the road hundreds of meters away from Hepping Town Point. Xiao Yan jumped off the eagle's back, spread out the map in his hand, and looked at the road sign. The area ahead is a control area of Cannon College. I hope there is really a strange fire. Yao Chen said with a smile. Do your best and leave the rest to fate. There is no better way. He walked towards Hepping Town and was stopped by the law enforcement team at the door. When he revealed his identity as a student and reported his name, the tutor who was about to look through the student list to check whether what he said was true paused. Xiao Yan, your name is Xiao Yan. The instructor's tone was a bit strange. He put away the list. Why did he need to check it? This name is simply well known. The members of the law enforcement team also changed their faces one by one, and their eyes became unfriendly. Xiao Yan was a little confused. How could the person who became friendly after he said his identity as a student suddenly become hostile? And it seems that the malice in his eyes looking at him is greater than the malice he looks at other people in the Blackhorn region. Xiao Yan took a step back involuntarily, and a little vigilance flashed in his eyes. The fierce wind eagle on his shoulder was stunned and motionless, but there was a bit of teasing in his eyes. So, you are Master Xiao Yan? Among the students, a person with a stronger aura than others smiled. After he glanced at someone beside him, the man said to the instructor on duty, Instructor, I suddenly remembered that I have something to do and want to take half a day off. The instructor who led the team understood that he wanted to go back to inform the students in the academy, smiled knowingly, and nodded. Go. Xiao Yan looked at these seniors who smiled kindly at him and felt a chill on his back. Well, my name is Xiao Yan, but I'm not a young master. Is there any problem? You from Wutan City in the Jayamar Empire? Yes, that's you, young master Xiao Yan. I'm so happy to see you. We have been looking forward to you for a long time, but finally you are here. Xiao Yan felt very baffled. He could feel their malice towards him, but it was not the same as the malice of the people in the Black Corner domain. It was a bit similar to the feeling when Xiao Ning looked at him fiercely before. How about we spar? Hearing this proposal, Xiao Yan smiled. He suddenly understood that this person might be Xiao Meng's suitor. In Cannon College, only Xiao Meng would call him that. If the other party also called him that, he must be the same as Xiao Meng. It cannot be separated. Alas, beauty is indeed a curse. Before I even arrived at the academy, someone started to cause trouble for me by treating me as a love rival. Of course, he was willing to accept such a challenge. He held the handle of the ancient ruler behind his back with his right hand and responded, since the senior invites me, I can't refuse. Before he finished speaking, the instructor on duty from the law enforcement team interrupted. Okay, if you have any issues, go back to the academy to solve it. This is Peacetown. Don't let outsiders see the joke. Then, listen to the instructor, and come with me. I will take you to the academy. The purpose of this student is not actually to fight Xiao Yan. He is delaying time, so that the person who just returned has enough time to spread the news go out. Xiao Yanzi, these students are looking at you very strangely. You have to be careful. Yao Chen reminded. Xiao Yan responded confidently. It doesn't matter, they are just challengers. Chapter 458. Young Master Xiao Yan is here. Master Xiao Yan is here. Master Xiao Yan is here. As soon as they left, the students who went to Cannon College to report the news rode griffins and flew across the sky at the top of their lungs. He no longer ignored the ban on griffins flying in certain areas of the academy and used his fighting spirit to spread his voice. The entire Cannon Academy was boiling. Teacher, I feel sick in my stomach. Please take half a day off. Me too. I made some mistakes in my practice yesterday. I need to rest. Please take leave. Students left the class one after another for various reasons. Many of them left without even waiting for the instructor's consent. Where is it? Where is that young Master Xiao Yan? Someone asked. Wait, classmate, can you put away the knife in your hand first? Teacher, really, believe me, I just want to have a friendly exchange with him. Brother Xiao Yan. A girl wearing a purple dress and as elegant as a lotus stood on a pavilion, looking at more and more students gathering in the square behind the college gate. A smile flashed in her eyes. Zuna, aren't you worried? Looking at this posture, your brother Xiao Yan will probably be beaten to death as soon as he hits the ground. Hu Jia, who has a voluptuous figure but a heroic face, stood beside her with a look on her face. Smile. Brother Xiao Yan can't be troubled by this matter. Zuna was full of confidence in Xiao Yan. Why don't you go? Didn't you also say that you want to take care of Master Xiao Yan? Hu Jia turned his attention to Wu Hao on the other side, who was wearing a blood red robe. Wu Hao looked coldly and said flatly, I will challenge him and defeat him in a one-on-one battle with dignity. Oh, that guy from Beishan seems to be inciting the crowd. Based on what I know about him, he might secretly do something evil. A trace of ridicule and disdain flashed in Hu Jia's eyes. Beishan. A golden light flashed in Zuna's eyes. She tapped the ground with her toes and jumped down from the pavilion in a few flashes. Hey, I still can't let go of my little lover. Really, what's so good about a stinky man? You might as well just obey me. Hu Jia didn't care at all about the weird look in Wu Hao's eyes and stepped forward. He jumped up and followed Zuna. What should we do? Do we need to inform Xiao Meng? Xiao Ning looked at the crowd who gathered to teach Xiao Yan a lesson. With worry in his eyes, one of the figures that didn't look like a student made him feel a sudden thought. He took a closer look and found that it was the Dawang elder who was beaten by Xiao Meng. That little bastard can be beaten to death. Xiao Yu frowned slightly. Do you have a way to enter the inner courtyard? No, but Xiao Meng gave me a bird monster she tamed. If anything happens, I can write to her to inform her. Xiao Yu rolled her eyes. Then why are you still standing there? Hurry up and write a letter. Didn't you say that he could be beaten to death? Xiao Ning muttered. After being glanced at by Xiao Yu, he shrank his neck and ran towards his dormitory. High in the sky, the students who were driving Xiao Yan to the academy in a griffin felt something was wrong. The griffin, which usually needs to be comforted from time to time before it can be commanded, was unusually well behaved today, as if it was afraid of something. He glanced at the eagle on Xiao Yan's shoulder. His eyes slightly focused. Was it some kind of magical beast, and its level might not be low? A city covering an extremely vast area appeared in Xiao Yan's sight. Under the control of the driver, the griffin did not go to a special stopping place, but came to the entrance of the college. Here we are, junior. I wish you a good time. A strange smile appeared on the senior's face. He deliberately sent Xiao Yan directly to the entrance of the college, just to not give the other party time to prepare. After the griffin dropped to a certain height, Xiao Yan jumped down and slightly bent his legs to relieve the impact of landing. I scratched my head, feeling baffled. He didn't hesitate for too long. He focused his attention on the plaque with the 4 characters Canon College hanging on the front door, feeling a little excited in his heart. Zuna, Xiaomeng, here I come. With expectation, Xiao Yan walked towards the academy. A chill suddenly rushed up from his spine to Xianlingge. He saw people standing on both sides of the road, all of them glancing at him intentionally or unintentionally. Xiao Yan felt that this situation seemed familiar. When he went to Yunlin sect, those disciples were watching from both sides. He took a deep breath and strode forward without any stage fright. He, Xiao Yan, had traveled through the Warcraft Mountains, been to the Snake Tribe Temple, attended the Yunlin sect, and had been hanging out in the Blackhorn territory for a while. What scenes had he not seen before? After walking a certain distance, the students who were previously scattered on both sides gathered together, blocking his retreat. "Ah, you Master Xiao Yan?" Beishan asked as he stood in the middle of the road with a few people. "Someone asked me this before." "It's me. What's wrong?" Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows with confusion in his eyes. "Is Xiaomeng so charming? Now most of the colleges regard me as their opponent. Why are there so many women? Since you admit it, it will be easy to handle." Beishan waved his hand. Students rushed in from all directions. "Everyone, come on shoulder to shoulder. There's no need to talk about moral principles with this guy. Just beat him and that's it." Xiao Yan looked at the excited crowd and felt his scalp numb. Without any hesitation, he unfolded his purple cloud wings and rushed into the sky. "This is different from what I thought before. I thought you would come to challenge me one by one." Xiao Yan thought in his heart. Strong king of fighters? Someone was horrified. No, just flying fighting skills. Oh, it's really not easy to make that girl fall in love so much. Weisteen Hukan stood in the distance, stroking his beard and smiling to himself. What's going on? Xiao Yan looked down at the crowd from the air, looking a little confused. This didn't seem like a challenge from a love rival. What happened? Not far away, he saw the girl he had been obsessed with, smiling gently at him. With his wings fluttering, Xiao Yan quickly flew away, quickly lowered his height, picked up Zuna and immediately flew into the sky. Such behavior made all the male students' eyes turn red. Fuck, beat this son of a bitch to death. Boy, if you have the guts, don't run away. Come down and fight me for 300 rounds. Someone was provoking from below. Beishan looked at this scene, clenching his right fist tightly, and a trace of evil flashed in his eyes. Holding Zuna and feeling the soft body in his arms, Xiao Yan showed a heartfelt smile on his face. "Zuna, long time no see. I miss you so much." Zuna blushed and said as softly as a mosquito, "I miss you too, brother Xiao Yan." After expressing their longing for each other, Xiao Yan asked, "Zuna, do you know what's going on? Why are so many people chasing me?" Zuna smiled and narrowed her eyes. Brother Xiao Yan, you are now public enemy of the college. Who made your maid so excellent?" "Sure. Enough. It's Xiaomeng's fault. You won't tell me that Xiaomeng has fascinated everyone in the college, so they all regard me as their love rival, right?" Xiao Yan said with a smile. Zuna was prepared to answer. There is a slight difference. Not to be fascinated, but to be defeated. She was worried that some students would come to trouble you, brother Xiao Yan, so she beat everyone up and ordered them not to bother you. In the end, she went too far and was thrown into the inner courtyard by the deputy dean. Without her suppression, brother Xiao Yan, you became their target. Xiao Yan's expression was dull. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, Young Patriarch. Because I didn't want others to cause me trouble, I gave me so much trouble, and made everyone come to me for trouble. What kind of magical operation is this? Xiaomeng's behavior made Xiao Yan dumbfounded. It is indeed something she can do. Xiao Yan's mouth twitched. Immediately, he thought of another question and asked, Xiaomeng, did she beat up all the students? Did she beat them one by one, or did she beat them in a group? Zuna still had a gentle smile on her face and responded, first, she beat them one by one. After arousing public anger and being surrounded, it developed into a group fight. She beat a group of them one by one. She's not injured, right? Xiao Yan said worriedly. I suffered a little injury, but all my opponents were knocked down. Xiao Yan looked at the dense crowd of students and couldn't help but take a breath. She beat more than 1,000 people by herself? Is she that strong? Zuna replied in a solemn tone. There are not more than 1,000 people, but there are hundreds. She is indeed ridiculously strong. Xia Meng's identity shouldn't be simple. People from her family seem to have come looking for her, but I'm not sure about the forces behind her. Everyone wants to beat you up, not only for revenge, but also because they want to see if you are worthy of Xia Meng calling you Master Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's eyelids twitched. You think too highly of me. Being surrounded by so many people, even a high-level fighting spirit can only run away with its head in hand. Zuna put her right hand around Xiao Yan's neck and pointed her left hand in a certain direction in the crowd. Did you see the middle-aged man in grey? Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed. He doesn't look like a student. Well, he is indeed not a student, but an elder from the outer courtyard. After Xia Meng had a large-scale fight with the students, he came out to stop it and was knocked down by Xia Meng. Zuna smiled. Xiao Yan stiffened. You won't tell me that he might take action, right? He suddenly felt that this position and height were still a little unsafe, so he flapped his wings and flew higher into the sky. Zuna replied, I probably won't attack you blatantly. After all, the vice dean is watching. But if other students can't beat you together, he may also give you a few blows secretly without being obvious. Or he may give you some guidance. In the name of you, I invite you to the ring. So, brother Xiao Yan, have you figured out how to deal with them? By the way, Xiao Ning has now become Xia Meng's lackey. He has probably already thought of a way to move reinforcement. If you don't do it quickly, Xia Meng will come over. The hero saves the beauty. Xiao Yan was slightly startled. There was a trace of determination in Zuna's tone. It seemed that she was sure that she could face this kind of situation, and she said, you seem to have a lot of confidence in me, more confidence than I have in myself. Zuna's eyes smiled like crescent moons. I have always had great confidence in brother Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's mind echoed what the quiet and elegant girl in his arms said to him when he was at his lowest point. I believe that brother Xiao Yan will definitely stand up and regain your dignity and glory. At this moment, the past and present seemed to overlap. Xiao Yan turned back the corner of his mouth and revealed a smile. Since Zuna has so much confidence in me, I can't let you down. Brother Douluo, I'm sorry to bother you. The wine-splitting eagle shot out from Xiao Yan's wings like a sharp arrow, and a strong wind suddenly stirred up and spread to all directions. Several students couldn't stand upright for a while and fell to the ground. It returned to its original posture. Its huge body with a wingspan of more than 30 meters was intimidating. Its golden wings shone in the sun, and its sharp claws were like sharp scimitars. The aura of the 6th level monster spread out unabashedly, causing the voices of the students below who were still clamoring to give him a good look to stop abruptly. Xiao Yan stood on the back of the split-winged eagle and looked down at everyone. You guys screamed so happily just now. Those who were swept by his cold gaze moved their eyes away, not daring to look at him. Bashan looked at the figure standing on the back of the 6th level monster with a look of reluctance on his face. Your arrogance is not your own strength, it's just the help of external forces. Many people feel disdain and deep envy. Not everyone has a great background, and many people do not have a strong emperor fighter in their families. The moment the splitting wind eagle revealed its aura, Vice Dean Hu Khan's expression became solemn. He could clearly feel that the strength of this wine-splitting eagle was not inferior to his own. It was at the peak of Douluo. He secretly gathered his fighting spirit, worried that Xiao Yan would let split-winged eagle attack the students without knowing the seriousness, and was ready to stop him at any time. Zuna had already come down from Xiao Yan's arms and stood beside him, looking at the handsome eagle at his feet with twinkling eyes. It seems that brother Xiao Yan's teacher is very powerful, and he would prepare such an eagle for him. Flying monster Beishan pondered for a long time, and finally couldn't help but stand up and said, Xiao Yan, do you dare to come down and fight with me alone? This is an academy. Relying on background is nothing. It will only make people think that you are just a waste relying on family power. Family power. Xiao Yan shook his head. If compared with family background, I'm afraid that most of the people in the academy have stronger families than the Xiao family. He was able to reach this point all thanks to his teacher's teachings and his own hard work. There are so many of you chasing after me, but you still have the nerve to say that if it's a competition of talent, then let's fight one-on-one. If there are more people than you, then it's okay for me to use other methods, right? Xiao Yan said with a smile. So, now I invite you to fight alone. Do you dare to accept it? Beishan said solemnly. Why? Don't you dare? How to fight? Xiao Yan accepted the challenge. It's here. Everyone should be looking forward to it. Don't worry, it will be quick. It won't take long. It really won't take much time. Xiao Yan left the eagle's back and shot towards Beishan. The secret method. The 3 mysteries of heavenly fire. 1. Move. I'll finish you off. During the battle between Yunlin sect and Alan Yanran, he already had the strength of a 4-star fighting master. On the way to the Black Angle region, he improved by 2 stars. When he activated the secret method, his aura surpassed that of a fighting master. What? Dowling? Beishan looked horrified. He took out a long gun, gritted his teeth, and launched his best move. The lightning attributed fighting spirit swam around the gun like an electric snake. With a sizzling sound, the spear stabbed Xiao Yan, who was approaching rapidly. Thunder. And thunder. Xiao Yan twisted his body. Purple flames coiled around his arms, and he pointed his elbow hard at the tip of the gun. Badgy. Collapse. Terrible power was transmitted from the gun body, making Beishan almost unable to hold the spear with a click. Xiao Yan broke the spear in an extremely violent manner and put his elbow on Beishan's chest. The latter spat out a mouthful of blood, fell backwards, broke a big tree, and passed out. Beishan was already one of the strongest people in the outer courtyard, but he was defeated so cleanly by Xiao Yan that the rest of the students who were about to beat Xiao Yan calmed down. Even if the other party doesn't have that pet, it doesn't seem to be someone easy to mess with. Hey, this is my cousin. This is my cousin. I just said he is very powerful. Have you seen it? Xiaoning shouted loudly, with an air on his face. The fox pretends to be the tiger's power. This is the most important trick Xiaoning learned after coming to Canon Academy. I relied on Xiaomeng before, but now I seem to have another person I can rely on. Young Patriarch, you are finally here. We have been looking forward to this day. Xiaoning stepped forward diligently, rubbing his hands, and said, Young Patriarch, what the hell is this title? Are you still the same Xiaoning? You used to be so unruly and unruly. Xiao Yan was stunned. His expression was extremely strange. When Xiaoning first came to Canon College, he was indeed unruly. Just like Xiao Yan who disobeyed Xiao Yan in the past, he always felt that he could make a name for himself by relying on his own abilities. But who can enter Canon College without some talent? He is nothing here. And because he was protecting Xiao Mei, he had conflicts with several students with bad conduct and became the target of bullying for a time. It was Xiao Meng who helped him find his place and supported him. From then on, Xiaoning knew the importance of hugging thighs. Chapter 460. What do you want to say? In the inner courtyard of Canon College, in a remote pavilion, a girl dressed in black stood up. The pupils, as deep as the night, contained no emotion at all. She walked to the window and looked at a white half-palm-sized bird from far to near. She raised her right arm and let it rest on it. Stretch out your white left hand and spread it flat in front of the bird. The white bird lowered its head and spit out a rolled up note. He took out a low-level medicine pill from the ring and simply refined it by burning it in a flame. He fed it to the bird, touched its head, and moved his right arm slightly. The messenger bird flapped its wings and flew into the sky. Xiaomeng unfolded the note and looked at Xiaoning's slightly scrawled handwriting with a smile in her eyes. Master, Xiao Yan, you are here. Turning to look behind her, she said in a soft voice, you should have known this for a long time. Yeah. Xiaomeng pinched the socket of his right eye and replied, there are also spirit insects arranged outside. He made such a big noise when he came back. Even if the number of spirit insects is not large, it is difficult to avoid them. No, what? Didn't they notify you? Zhao Mingru suddenly paused and then said, "Oh, I forgot. Your spiritual connection with other spiritual insects is restricted by your body. You cannot receive messages from them." Zhao Meng's breathing stagnated, and then she took a deep breath to calm down, but her fists clenched involuntarily. "You have more or less of Rommel's personality." Zhao Mengru spread his hands. "I just told the truth. Lies are addictive, but the truth can hurt people's hearts." Zhao Meng's forehead jumped and she asked, "Speaking of which, what are you doing here with me? I don't see the need for you to exist." In order to integrate and coordinate Amon in the Black Corner region, and to provide some necessary help or hardships to Zhao Yan, this should be your responsibility. Zhao Mingru replied, "My responsibilities?" Zhao Meng raised an eyebrow and asked doubtfully, "Why don't I have any impression at all?" Zhao Mengru looked at her, like she was looking at a fool. "Do you need to express this clearly with your own body? Originally, you should arrange everything around Zhao Yan, but looking at you, it seems a bit embarrassing." As he said that, he shook his head and continued, "Even if you are a little more sensible and act more rationally, the main body will not leave me. There is no need for two Amons with the same authority on the same thing. As you said, I'm a bit redundant." Zhao Meng muttered, "Actually, I'm very rational. The human body I had before made my emotional and human side too prominent." Zhao Mengru smiled and said, "Aren't you going to help Zhao Yan? I feel like he might be a little unable to handle that kind of battle." Zhao Meng glanced at him, raised the corners of her mouth, and outlined a smile. If it were Zhao Yan in the original work, it would indeed be more difficult to figure it out, but under our influence, he is gradually opening up the gap between him and himself at the same time, and the gap will become wider and wider. There is no need for me to bother." Zhao Mengru opened and closed his mouth. He had just received a message from the spirit insect in the outer courtyard. He paused for a moment and chuckled. "It seems that you are not without merit. At least your judgment on Zhao Yan is more accurate than mine." In the dark and silent space, a barrier separated the inside and outside. The outside is deep and hot magma, and there is nothingness in the space. There is only a stone door tens of thousands of meters tall and a huge snake-like creature in front of the stone door. The barrier rippled, and the subtle spatial fluctuations alarmed Zhu-kun. His eyelids moved slightly, and then slowly opened. There was a look of joy on the dragon's face. He carefully restrained his pressure, and controlled his breath without revealing anything. The huge snake-like body moved slowly, for fear of accidentally bumping into the weak creature entering the space. Ever since Zhao Meng died in front of him for the first time, he never dared to attack anyone who entered casually. After that, Amon came several times as Zhao Meng, and each time he brought him a jade slip recording Xian's life status. And each time it exploded in front of him. Even though Zhu-kun didn't release his momentum or pressure him, he just committed suicide in front of Zhu-kun in the same way as he did the first time, without any communication with him. This gave Zhu-kun a headache. The second time he thought about having a good chat with this weird guy named Zhao Meng, but the other party ignored him at all. He often only had time to say a word, and it exploded with a bang. When she came for the second time, Zhu-kun said, "I want to talk to you." The third time, he said, "I'm Xian's father." The fourth time, he said, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." After so many times, Zhu-kun also understood that what he killed should just be a clone or a puppet-like thing. This is good news. In addition, there is also good news that the other party knows that he is Xian's father. Every time he brings the jade slips, it is proved, and she has a stable way to reach this space. The bad news is that he seems to have angered her. He committed suicide in front of him in the same way again and again, which should be to express his dissatisfaction. Zhu-kun was thinking about how to get her forgiveness, but after much thought, there was no good way. She was unwilling to say even a word to him. If you can't communicate, how can you get understanding? The dazzling firewing led the girl in black to the huge square in front of the ancient emperor's cave. She raised her head and stared at the giant creature looking down at her from the void. With a sarcastic smile on her lips, the jade slips were burned by Zhao Meng and sent to the magma world at the bottom of Xianfen Key Refining Tower by Zhao Mingru. They were handed over to fallen Amon, who then controlled the clone of fallen Amon to parasitize the flame lizard man and dive into the cave of Tuo's ancient emperor. Despite Xiao Meng's appearance, his eyes stayed on the huge stone door for a while. Then he looked at ZHU Kun and spoke for the first time. I don't like looking up to other people. When the huge Staksu ancient dragon heard this, his body immediately shrank and turned into a human form. There was a look of joy on his face. If he was willing to talk to him, it meant that the other party's attitude had relaxed, which was a major progress in easing the relationship between the two parties. This was the first time in his life that ZHU Kun was so humble, almost begging to win the forgiveness of a little fighting emperor. Okay. The middle-aged man with purple gold hair transformed by ZHU Kun has no dignity at all in his golden pupils, and his face is rather flattering. He rubbed his hands and said softly, okay, I'll listen to you. Amon raised his right hand, pinched his eye sockets, and said seriously, the clone when we first met is different from the clone after that. It's very important. You caused me great losses. No wonder you haven't given me a good look. ZHU Kun has always had a doubt in his heart. Judging from the way the other party later didn't take the clone seriously and would die in front of him even if they disagreed, the clone seemed to be nothing point. If the first clone was different and had any special meaning, then the subsequent attitude would be understandable. He smiled coquettishly. Well, I can make amends. Amon shook his head. This is an irreparable loss to my practice, and no compensation can make up for it. Zukan's heart skipped a beat, and he sighed secretly. Amon said softly, I will talk to you, but I just want to tell you that the powerful flame lizard people outside seem to be suspicious. If they interfere, I will not be able to break through the blockade, and I will probably not be able to come here in the future. Do you have anything to say to Ziyan? I can convey it to you, but I won't tell her your whereabouts. It's too dangerous here. She is also an impulsive and reckless person. If she insists on doing it, I can't stop her. ZHU Kun was stunned. The news hit him on the head like a bolt from the blue, leaving him at a loss for a moment. In this void and dead space, the records of his children's lives were the only thing he could find solace in these thousands of years. The records in these jade slips were like a beam of light in the darkness, illuminating his soul that was beginning to wither. But this light didn't last long and seemed to be extinguished again. Chapter 461 ZHU Kun's Gift. ZHU Kun suddenly thought that Xiao Meng was talking about not being able to attack because of the interference of the fire lizard man. So wouldn't it be enough to eliminate the interference? He suddenly laughed and took out a jade slip from the ring. The terrifying power gathered on the jade slip so that the space created by Tuo's ancient emperor was faintly collapsing. After a while, he exhaled lightly and muttered, I haven't made this thing for a long time. It's a bit rusty. Throwing the jade slip to Amon, ZHU Kun said, it seals one of my attacks, the power of a late stage 9-star Daosheng. Who dares to stop it? Fuck him. But you have to be careful, because of the limited materials. I can't make a more advanced jade slip with a trace of my soul. This thing doesn't distinguish between enemies and friends. If others use it, they will probably kill their opponents and themselves, but it shouldn't be a problem for you. Remember to hide your body as far away as possible. This is a one-style attack, and the power may exceed your imagination. That, Xiao Meng. ZHU Kun habitually rubbed his hands. Amon's tone softened slightly. Don't call me Xiao Meng. My name is Xiao Meng. 9-star Daosheng. Are you really that strong? He seemed a little unconvinced, with a strong suspicion in his tone. ZHU Kun answered with a little pride. Can't you feel my breath? In addition, my body shape in my original state should be very convincing, right? Amon nodded, as if he believed this argument. He muttered, I didn't expect that the father of the little guy Ziyan would be such a big man standing at the top of the world. ZHU Kun asked expectantly, can you bring my child down to see me? Amon pointed to the top of his head. Do you think Ziyan can withstand the pressure and temperature of the magma now? This is not an ordinary shallow magma. I successfully arrived here by relying on the special nature of the fire lizardman, a creature that is already active in magma. Even ordinary Daozun and Daosheng can't withstand the huge pressure and terrifying high temperature, and there are those lizardmen hiding Although your jade slip can deter them if they insist on attacking, I can only choose to activate the power in the jade slip to die with them. Do you want Yan to take such a big risk to see you? Zhu Kun looked a little embarrassed and asked, my power has been restricted by Tuo's ancient emperor in some way. Can you use the attack in the jade slip to clean up those little lizards on it? Amon asked back with a smile. Do you know where it is now? Will the movement caused by your attack attract others prying? Do you know what the situation is on the continent now? Zhu Kun shook his head. I don't know. I have been trapped in this damn place for thousands of years. What's going on outside now? Can you tell me? Amon shrugged. I don't know either. You should have seen that my body is actually a kind of magic beast. Although I'm mixed in the human world, what I know is actually very limited. The Northwest continent is a very remote place where a Daozan can be considered a top-notch strongman. You probably don't think highly of the forces in the Northwest continent. I heard that the major forces are basically concentrated in Zhongzhou. I haven't been there yet. Zhu Kun's eyes twitched, not knowing what you were talking about, but he also saw that Xiao Meng seemed to be worried about something and didn't dare to use the power in the jade slip at will point. He thought about it and organized his words. Do you know what kind of monsters I and Yan are? Amon responded without hesitation. Some guesses. Although I'm an alien among monsters, basically not affected by the pressure of other monsters' bloodlines, but your bloodline still gives me a sense of oppression. Your body is too big, so big that I can't see the whole picture, but I can vaguely see that it is snake-shaped and has claws. If I'm not mistaken, you should be the legendary mysterious Taixu ancient dragon clan. Zhu Kun nodded. Yes, my name is Zhu Kun, the Taixu ancient dragon emperor. Can you help me find a way to contact the clan? Let them take Ziyang back and train her well. The Taixu ancient dragon clan will give you a reward that satisfies you. Amon's mouth drew a smile. You have been trapped here for thousands of years. Zhu Kun looked at the smile on her mouth, and suddenly a bad premonition emerged in his heart. You sure that the Taixu ancient dragon clan is still the Taixu ancient dragon clan when you left? Will there be any changes? Seeing that the Taixu ancient dragon clan has not heard from you for so long, will the Taixu ancient dragon clan choose a new dragon emperor? If there is a new dragon emperor, how do you think he will treat Ziyan, the daughter of the old dragon emperor? Will he train her carefully and wait for her to grow and dilute his power, or will he kill her directly? Amon's series of questions made Zhu Kun's heart sink gradually. Although his prestige is unmatched in the Taixu ancient dragon clan, he has been trapped for too long. So long that most of the Taixu ancient dragons cannot live that long. The change of 2 or 3 generations is enough for the tribe to forget him. Looking at Zhu Kun, who looked grim, Amon smiled brightly. How much control can you have over the Taixu ancient dragon clan? A person who has been missing for a long time and is likely to be considered dead. However, Ziyan is my friend, and I will try my best to help her, even if it is a little difficult. I will find a way to confirm the situation of the Taixu ancient dragon clan, and then decide, based on the situation. Zhu Kun took a deep breath and said solemnly, thank you. No matter what the result is, I owe you a favor. Amon rolled his eyes and said bluntly, what's the use of your favor? I'm trapped here and can't get out. When I die and turn into ashes, I probably won't need your favor. Zhu Kun's face showed embarrassment. He glanced at his storage ring and sighed. It was empty. The original medicinal materials and other things were eaten by him in these thousands of years. He grabbed his hair, thought for a long time, and suddenly said, give me all the jade slips in your hand. I will record the inheritance of the Taixu ancient dragon clan on it, and you can help me bring it to my child. In addition, I will also copy some of the skills and fighting skills that I know that can be performed without relying on the power of the Taixu ancient dragon bloodline. If you need it, you can learn it yourself. I'll make you another jade slip that contains my attack. One is for shocking the fire lizardman, and the other one can be used against the enemy. If you encounter a strong enemy that you can't deal with, use this to deal with him. You can ask me for more jade slips after you use them up. Although making this thing consumes a lot of energy for me, I'm trapped here and this is all I can do. Help me take care of my children. Amon frowned and said in a surprised tone, "Oh, it seems that your favor is still useful." Chapter 462. Radical Soul Envoy. In a remote forest in the Blackhorn region, the sounds of monsters came and went. The eyes of these monsters were red, and the fierce aura on their bodies was far beyond normal. They were generally not of high level, mostly second and third level, and rarely appeared above the fourth level. In the depths of the forest, the coldness permeated the air, making people feel particularly uncomfortable. This coldness was not physical coldness, but a deeper coldness that penetrated into the soul. A hall built of black stone and dark grey metal was located in a clearing in the forest. In front of the clearing, black metal pillars stood, and thick chains of the same color connected the pillars. The chains and pillars formed complex patterns in a certain pattern, and together with the central hall, they faintly showed the momentum of a formation. The door of the hall was ajar, and the area where the hall was located was the place with the strongest coldness. In a room deep in the hall, a man in black robes casually untied the soul bag on his waist and threw it to an old man opposite. After taking the soul bag, the old man opened it and glanced at it with a look of surprise in his eyes. "Zio Protector, you seem to have gained a lot more recently than before." Zio Protector laughed. "Old Muzan, I recently recruited a good subordinate. He is very efficient. I plan to recommend him to officially join the Soul Hall and become a protector when he reaches Daozang." The old man smiled. "Such a useful subordinate. Why don't you keep him for a while? Let him create more value for you." Zio Protector shook his head. "No, this will delay his development. I don't want him to hate me in the future." While saying this, he also muttered in his heart, "That kid is very evil. He is obviously a Dao Wang, but he keeps taking out the souls of Dao Huang. He is very powerful and murderous." You asked again, "How much contribution points did you take from him?" 30%. "What's wrong? Isn't that the rule?" Protector Zio was puzzled. Elder Soul Hall looked at Protector Zio with a puzzled look and laughed. "The rule is a rule, but few people abide by it. For most people, taking 50% is considered conscientious. Those soul envoys are not qualified to come to me for exchange. Some protectors will make some changes to the price of the items. In fact, the soul envoys may only get 10% or 20% of the things they can get." This. Since Elder Mu knows all about it, why don't you take care of it? Protector Zio asked puzzledly. Elder Mu smiled slightly and explained patiently, "Why should I care? Soul envoys are the power developed by the protectors themselves. They basically choose those who have reached the end of their potential. It is convenient to control and will not backfire. Only a few people can be promoted from soul envoys to guardians. These few people will not affect the overall situation of my soul palace. After they are promoted, I will not care about any grudges between them and the original guardians. Let them solve it by themselves. I originally wanted to teach you these things after a while. What surprised me is that you actually developed your own subordinates without a teacher." After a slight pause, Muzan Leo suddenly remembered that the Guardian Zio said that he would recommend him to the Soul Palace to become a formal guardian after his subordinate was promoted to Daozang. He said in surprise, "You won't develop a very promising Dao Huang into a subordinate, right?" The Guardian Zio nodded. "I can't say he has great potential. It should be said that it's a bit strange. He looks like a young man in his 20s. When I first met him, he was only at the peak of Dao Wang. Not long after, he became a Dao Huang. The key is that his fighting power is extraordinary. He has surrendered the souls of several Dao Huangs. With his style of doing things, these people were probably killed by him. After entering Dao Huang, he surrendered the souls of Dao Huang more frequently." Zun Leo was silent for a while and reminded him, "Since he is a potential soul envoy, you should treat him as before. It is also good to make a good relationship with him. Do you have a secret method to directly devour souls and improve strength?" asked the Guardian Owl. Muzan Leo frowned. "Why are you asking this?" "This secret method has strong sequelae, although it can make people strong quickly in a short period of time, but it will make your Dao Ki mottled. After it is improved to a certain level, it will basically be impossible to continue to promote in the future. With your talent, it should not be a problem to cultivate to Daozen. If you use this secret method now, then the high-level Daozan will end. Zhao. Hufa shrugged. I know the severity. This is not what I want. It is the Soul Envoy under my command. Didn't you say that he also has potential? He doesn't know the consequences? Musan Leo waved his hand, and a light screen was projected on the wall, on which there were various things that could be exchanged. The Owl Guardian smiled lightly. I told him, but he insisted on doing so. I don't need to persuade him, just respect his fate. He stared at the exchange list displayed by Musan Leo for a while, and chose a medium secret method. Well, the contribution points of the Soulmonger are still a little short, so I'll give him a pad first. Anyway, with that guy's style, he will probably have souls to surrender next time we meet. The Owl Guardian muttered, while pointing to one of the upper rows. That's it. He took out 2 metal tokens, one of which was made of copper, and the other of iron. Deduct the contribution points on this iron token first, and deduct the insufficient points from the copper token. Musan Leo stretched out his hand, and used his fighting spirit to pull the token to capture it. He took out a silver token, and pasted it on the iron token while saying, that Soul Envoy is lucky to have met you. After handing over his soul, and exchanging what he wanted, Protector Zhao left the punishment hall. A thick black mist emerged from his body, covering his whole body, so that no one could see his human form. Then, he rushed into the sky, and continued to sweep away into the distance. Black Seal City is in a forest not far from the city gate. Wearing a pointed soft hat, a monocle on his right eye, and a black classical robe, Amon casually withdrew his right hand from the heart of a fighting king. The fighting king fell softly to the ground, and the warm blood stained the ground red. The frozen expression on the corpse still showed a bit of disbelief. This is the clone of Amon that bears the mark of the protector of Owl. A faint black mist emerged from his hand. He bent slightly and patted the corpse's shining cap, pulling out a dazed and frightened soul. Around this corpse, there are several corpses scattered here and there, some of them fighting spirits, some of great fighting masters. No matter how small the mosquitoes are, they are still meat. Based on the principle of not wasting, Amon collected their souls and bodies one by one. G. Ming-Huns Heyo, you are really diligent in your work. The familiar voice of Protector Zhao came from the sky point, but when he saw Amon's appearance, his body suddenly stiffened. On the back of Amon's black robe, there is a big white word soul written on it. Are you afraid that others won't know that you are from the Soul Palace? Amon smiled and took out a handkerchief to wipe off the blood on his hands. I also want to save enough contribution points to exchange for the secret technique I want as soon as possible. I've already brought it to you. Your contribution points are still a little short, so I'll give them to you first. Protector Zhao threw the secret scroll to Amon. Amon bowed slightly and said politely, thank you, Protector Zhao. Then he handed over his Soul Palace. This is what I have gained during this period of time. Protector Zhao took a look. Good guy. There are 3 Dao Huang souls again. He advised him in a routine manner. You don't have to use such a high frequency to collect souls. Cultivation is not something that happens overnight. Chapter 463 Barbarian Mohist School. In the clear sky, there were sparse clouds floating, and on the flatland, there were knee-high grass. When the wind blew, the grass fell and stood up again, and dozens of oval wooden hemispherical buildings stood on the grassland. These buildings were made up of long, thick brown sticks, stacked end to end. A strong smell of blood overwhelmed the slightly astringent fragrance of the plants in the grassland. The blood flowed slowly on the ground like a stream. A dead body with eyes open was lying on the ground, holding a long knife in his hand, but his wound was from the back. Chief, what are you doing? Several men holding long spears surrounded a man holding a big knife, who was more than 3 meters tall, and had a playful look in his eyes. These people had dark skin, and their skin looked a little rough, after being exposed to the wind and sun for a long time. Their lips were thick and their noses were round. The most noticeable thing was that their bodies showed some characteristics of monsters. Some have extended coccyx, forming lizard-like tails, and some have octopus tentacles instead of fingers on their hands. The man called the chief has the lower body of a horse, and there are scales on the horse. Among the barbarians in the northern continent, merging with the soul of magic beast is a very common way of practice. Many tribes are half human and half magic beast, and the snake people are a very representative one point in this vast land. There are also horse people, lion people, and wolf people. Near large lakes, there are fish people, crab people, shrimp people. However, in most tribes, everyone will choose to merge with the soul of the same kind of magic beast, and the people of the entire tribe have similar magic beast characteristics. Their bloodline, in the fusion of generations, has been close to that kind of magic beast, so even if they do not use secret methods to merge the soul of the magic beast, the newborn baby will have the physical characteristics of the magic beast chosen by the tribe. The Mo family is a relatively special barbarian tribe. Their newborns are normal humans and do not have magic beast characteristics. They did not choose a single monster to fuse, but fused everything about the monster, including the body and soul. Within the sphere of influence of the Mohist school, the branch tribes under its jurisdiction are often bizarre, and a small tribe can make people understand what species diversity is. The tribe that was in chaos at this moment was a small branch of the Mohist school. The centaur chief swung down with a machete and killed a person who surrounded him. The man with tentacle-like fingers who was supposed to besiege the centaur chief suddenly turned around, burst into fighting spirit, and stabbed the heart of his companion beside him. The fight continued, and soon only the centaur chief and the man with tentacle-like fingers were left. The two of them looked at each other and stabbed each other's chests with their weapons. As their breath of life slowly disappeared, there were no living people in this tribe. A man wearing a black classical robe, a pointed soft hat of the same color, and a single lens made of crystal on his right eye, walked slowly. He ignored the test questions and broken limbs on the ground, and did not care about the smell of blood. With a faint smile on his face, beams of light flashing with star-like colors flew out of his body, passing over the corpses, taking away the illusory, confused, and frightened souls, and flying back into the young man's body. A hand stretched out from the body of the centaur leader, followed by the head and neck. After revealing the upper body, the figure that emerged from the corpse pushed his hands on both sides and suddenly jumped out. This is also an Amon. He walked straight to the body of the centaur leader, took off the ring on his finger, and then walked to Amon, who came at the beginning, handed the ring to him, and merged with him. Amon's soul power probed into the ring, and found a secret scroll called fusion method from it. There are already more than a dozen scrolls of this kind in his Yuhei ring, but none of them are exactly the same. After browsing these different types of fusion methods, Amon found that they correspond to different organs of the human body. For example, the one found in the centaur chief's ring this time corresponds to the leg. The one obtained from the previous tribe corresponds to the heart, and the one before that is the lung. After fusing magic beasts using different fusion methods, the characteristics of the corresponding organs of the fused magic beasts will be inherited, and this advantage will be amplified. Among these fusion methods, there is a faint magic beast limb transformation method obtained from the Mohist school of the Gamma Empire. It seems to be the result of its development and perfection. The main branch of the Mo family is experimenting with its own branches, using them to gradually improve the fusion method. I wonder what will happen if the spirit worm is fused with this method. Will it strengthen the soul? Amon thought as he walked towards the next Mo tribe. Shortly after Amon left, a group of people with wings on their backs and feather ornaments on their heads fell from the sky. The leader exuded a powerful aura. His feet stepped on the void, and his brown eyes in the deep eye sockets flashed cold light. Damn it, I'm late again. He looked at the dead silence below and said angrily, Lord Emoli, there is no survivor. After searching the surroundings, a young man reported, The hands and feet are really clean. Who is targeting us? What is their purpose? The middle-aged man called Emoli lowered his head and thought with a gloomy face. He said in a slightly hoarse voice, it shouldn't be long before these people are killed. Send a message to other teams and let them take a look at the nearby tribes. The murderer probably didn't go far. Which tribe is closest? A man with a darker complexion replied, it's the Moshao tribe, a medium-sized tribe. Their leader is also a strong Daozang warrior. Let's go to the Moshao tribe. Emoli said, yes. The darker-skinned man responded simply. The group of people flew into the sky and quickly flew towards the nearest medium-sized tribe. In a huge palace made of gears, levers, monster bones polished into special shapes, and rocks, a group of people were discussing the recent attacks. More Then a dozen small tribes have been wiped out. The people who did it were very cruel and cunning, and no one was left alive. Elder Imoli has led Yan Jin to pursue him, but there has been no progress. We must take more powerful measures, otherwise we will be looked down upon. Everyone in those branches is in danger now. If this matter is not resolved quickly, I'm afraid that some tribes will think that our family cannot be relied on, and will seek refuge with other major clans. Sitting in the main seat was a man with blonde hair, a strong build, and broad shoulders. He only had one eye. The left eyelid was closed and sunken, but the right eye shone brightly, as if it could penetrate people's hearts. The blonde man's name is Emo Yanshang, and he is the current head of the Emo family. He listened quietly to the arguments of a group of clan elders. When the arguments became louder and louder, and the emotions of those participating in the meeting became more and more intense, he finally spoke slowly. Imoli has a space jade slip in his hand that notifies me. When he discovers the murderer, he will crush it immediately and transmit the information. Then I will take action personally. Although our Emo family is not the top tribe among the barbarians, we are not easy to mess with either. Compared to this, I want to know to what extent the matter between the Manfeng tribe and the Sky Demon Phoenix has developed now. Someone replied, it is said that a supreme elder from the heavenly demon phoenix came, and the tribesman of the Manfeng tribe who had merged with the soul of the heavenly demon phoenix was killed on the spot. The Manfeng tribe backed down and gave a large amount of compensation. Hearing such a result, Emo Yanshang was not surprised and sighed. Those Warcraft overlord families are not easy to mess with. If they weren't worried that our entire barbarian tribe would unite to a certain extent when invaded by foreign enemies, they might not give up so easily. An elder echoed, so our Emo family still has road safety. By fusing single, unique body parts of various different magical beasts, they are combined to condense the strongest beast body. Unfortunately, the secret method has not yet been completely completed. Chapter 464 Attack. From the Emo Han tribe, Imoli led the Emo crossing army to slowly land in front of the temple in their city. Patriarch Emo Shao came to greet him with two tribe elders. Brother Imoli, you are so busy. What do you want from me? Emo Shao is a man with a lion's head on each side of his shoulders, nearly 4 meters tall, like a little giant. He had a braid with a bell tied to it, and the bell jingled as he walked. I'm tracking down the murderer who massacred several small tribes. Imoli went straight to the point without any nonsense. Emo Shao's eyes narrowed slightly. This matter has been aroused recently, but why did you come to my place to catch the murderer? Do you doubt what I did? Emo Lee shook his head and responded, another tribe was wiped out just now, and your Emo Shao tribe is the closest. I suspect that person may come to attack you. When Emo Shao heard this, his expression turned from slightly sulky to heavy. Being able to kill so many small tribes without leaving a single person alive proved that his opponent was very powerful. Although their Black Hand tribe is a medium-sized tribe with a population, strong men, etc. that are much larger than those of small tribes, they still dare not be careless in dealing with such a dangerous enemy. How many enemies are there? Emo Shao asked. Not many, probably only one person, maybe 2, no more than 3 at most. Imoli inspected the scene more than a dozen times and judged some basic information. At this moment, a man with rabbit ears ran over and shouted, Patriarch, it's bad. There suddenly was a large-scale riot in Fangxi in the north of the city. A group of people indiscriminately killing people everywhere. What? Emo Shao's expression changed. He kicked off his right foot, stepped on the void, and quickly flew towards the north of the city. Imoli casually ordered, follow me. He also jumped into the sky and followed Emo Shao closely. Others in Emo's engine showed their wings and flew into the sky. After their wings were superimposed with Daoqi transformed into wings, their speed was actually no slower than the 2 Daozang warriors. When Emo Shao and Imoli came to the north of the city, they found that the entire street was completely in chaos. Both sides of the battle were from the Emo Shao tribe, which made Emo Shao not know how to deal with it for a while. He roared angrily, stop it. Who can tell me what happened? Sound waves like a lion's roar spread out under the blessing of fighting spirit. As the sound sounded, some people paused. However, they had no intention of stopping their fighting. They seized on this floor and continued to attack. Many people were injured or died as a result. Mo Xiao's face was so gloomy that it seemed like he could drip water. Mo Li said from the side. In the small tribes that were wiped out before, signs of cannibalism were also found. It is speculated that the attacker should have the ability to control others or create illusions. Who? Get out of here. Mo Xiao flew over the chaotic crowd and shouted angrily, "Chief." A man with a trunk like an elephant suddenly shouted. He seemed to be about to say something, but was punched in the chest by someone on the side. He vomited blood and fell to the side, looking at Mo Xiao in the sky, opening and closing his mouth, but unable to make any sound. Mo Xiao had an impression of this man. He was the younger brother of someone in the temple's guard team. He failed in the initial selection. With a flash of his body, he came to the man's side, waved his sleeves, and shook away the clansman who had just injured the elephant trunk man, and was about to kill him in pain. Did you find anything? A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of the elephant trunk man's mouth, and a fatal sense of crisis surged into Mo Xiao's heart. Hot and pure light burst out, and the terrifying power spread out around him with him as the center. Mo Xiao only had time to make a simple defense before he was engulfed by the small sun-like explosion rising on the ground. In the original work, at the peak of Dao Wang, Zhao Yan went through the 3 mysterious transformations of the secret method of Skyfire to rise to the level of Dao Huang. He defeated Yan Jin with the Buddha's Wrath Fire Lotus, 3 different fires, Green Lotus Earth Heart Fire, Fallen Heart Fire, and Bone Spirit Cold Fire. During the Battle of the Emperor, he used these 3 kinds of strange fires plus the transformed fire that was slightly less powerful than the strange fires to severely damage the strength of the 7-star Dao sect. During the Dao Zun period, these 3 kinds of strange fires plus 3000 flames formed a complete 4-color strange fire, which defeated the ancient demon of the capital of the ancient tribe's Black Nirvana army with a higher level of cultivation. Although Zhao Yan's own level is constantly improving, there is no doubt about the power of the Buddha's Angry Fire Lotus. The power of the 4-color Buddha's Angry Fire Lotus has surpassed the low-level fighting skill of the heavenly creation palm. In this explosion, Amon used 5 kinds of strange fires: Kinglian Earth Core Fire, Fallen Heart Flame, Sea Heart Flame, Bone Spirit Cold Fire, and Space Fire. Although he controlled the energy output, its power was greatly reduced, but it's not something a low-star Daozan can resist. Mo Xiao died on the spot without any resistance, and turned into a charred corpse. Seeing this scene, Mo Li's scalp went numb, and he crushed the spatial jade slip without hesitation. A dark crack appeared in mid-air, and Mo Yan's Hang slowly walked out of it. Daozan's overwhelming pressure shrouded the city, making some weak people's legs weak. Mo Li reported to him what had just happened in a panic. Mo Yan's Hang looked calmly at the center of the explosion, next to Mo Xiao's charred corpse, and said softly, "How long do you want to hide? Such a little trick can't be hidden from a strong Daozan." Silver white flames suddenly appeared in the calm void, burning a thin horizontal line, which suddenly expanded to the upper and lower sides, forming an oval-shaped opening. Amon, wearing a black classical robe and a pointed soft hat, came out. He pinched the monocle on his right eye and casually threw Mo Xiao's body into the space crack with his left hand. He raised his head and looked at Mo Yan's Hang standing in the sky, chuckling. "I didn't expect that the patriarch of the Mo family would be summoned. You really think highly of me, Mo." Yan Hang's eyes were cold, and he said, "Just relying on your hand of hiding yourself in the space crack just now, there are not many people in the Mo family who can deal with you." "Who are you? Why do you repeatedly offend my Mo family? I don't remember provoking you. Your style of doing things reminds me of the Soul Palace, but you seem to be more ruthless." Amon laughed. "That's because you don't know much about our style. I can only say that the ones you met before were not ruthless enough." He took out a ball of soul, and the illusory soul body was squeezed into a ball, on which a painful and twisted face could be vaguely seen. Almost at the same time, screams rang out everywhere in the city of the Mo Xiao tribe. People wearing black robes with the word soul written on their clothes were killing people everywhere. Their strengths varied, but without exception, they killed anyone they saw and wreaked havoc. Mo Yan's Hang's eyes became colder, but he didn't care about the Amons in the city. He stared at the one in front of him, stretched out his right hand, and the energy gathered to form a 100-foot long hand, grabbing towards Amon. This hand was not like a human palm, but more like a claw of monster. Amon suddenly exploded, turning into a silver flame with stars, burning in the surrounding space. Strange. Fire. Yan Jin showed some interest in his eyes and said, "It's a very good thing. I will accept it with pleasure." His soul power surged out and scanned the surroundings, his brows slightly furrowed, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. In his perception, the silver flames distributed in the sky and on the ground had the same aura, as if they were all the real body, but also as if none of them were point. After a little thought, the energy giant hand appeared again, casually grabbing a place where the flames were denser. After touching the giant hand, the flames went out one by one. After several attacks, the silver flames were almost completely extinguished. But Amon's real body still did not appear. This made Yan Jin's face a little gloomy. In the previous fight, he found that the opponent was not strong or very weak. It's just that the silver flame is quite peculiar. It can burn space, allowing him to use some space means that only Daozun can master. When he is Daohuang. Yan Jin is not a new Daozun, and his mastery of space is not low. Amon's barely used space ability is like a child's play in front of him, and he can break it with a backhand. He didn't take it seriously at all, but just made a move casually, leaving Amon, who only has the strength of Daohuang, without any resistance point. But the problem is that after Amon turned into a silver flame and exploded, Yan Jin couldn't find Amon. After extinguishing the last silver flame, Yan Jin said with some anger, "Damn, I was tricked." He attacked with anger, and black dots appeared on his palms. These dots flew away from his palms, rushed into the sky, and turned into black balls. The balls fell like raindrops, accurately hitting the Amons who were wreaking havoc in the city, smashing them into pools of meat paste. Yan Jin thought he was tricked, and that a Daohuang had escaped from under his nose by some unknown means. In fact, he had killed all the Amons here. The reason why he felt that each of the silver flames around him had the same aura, and he couldn't tell where the main body was hidden, was because Amon activated his innate ability, Split. He turned from a whole into scattered, weak flames. This can effectively increase Yan Jin's number of attacks and delay time. Yan Jin's face suddenly changed. The jade slip in his family's land was touched. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the space next to him. With a wave of his hand, a temporary space channel was formed, and he stepped into it. When he returned to the clanland, he saw a mess. Most of the city, where the clanland was located, was blown up. The center had been razed to the ground. The soil was crystallized in large areas due to the high temperature, and it was emitting hot steam. What happened? He gritted his teeth and said. An old man with one arm missing and half of his body charred walked slowly. He said hoarsely and bitterly, "I don't know." Suddenly there was a big explosion. We didn't even see who the enemy was. There were several people. Chapter 465. Everything is ready. Above the endless grassland, the sky was covered with clouds, and light rain fell, blowing by the wind, and falling diagonally to the ground. In the distance, a mountain range of almost equal heights is like a wall, looming in the mist. The water flowed into small puddles in the depressions of the grass. A foot wearing a black leather boot stepped into the puddles, causing large ripples. Wearing a black classical robe, a pointed soft hat, and a monocle on his right eye, the young man walked to a more protruding slope and stared at the distant mountains that looked like artificial city walls. Deep behind him, a young man with the same dress and the same face walked slowly. The young man who walked up raised his right hand, pinched the upper and lower edges of the monocle with his index finger and thumb respectively, and chuckled. The operation went very smoothly. When Spacefire Amon was holding back Yan Jin, Amon, who had lurked in the main line of the Mo family, launched the suicidal Buddha's furious fire lotus, killing and injuring many elders. "Here, this is what you want, the body." He threw a scroll towards Amon in front of him. The scroll went around the shoulder of Amon. The main body raised his forearm and caught the secret scroll thrown by the clone. The main body glanced at the scroll and chuckled. "Did you know? The land we are standing on now is called the Dragon Burial Basin. In the distant past, thousands of years ago, there was a more powerful tribe among the barbarian tribes, the barbarian dragon tribe. They even showed the power to unify the northern continent, but such a powerful tribe disappeared overnight, along with their station. They were buried by the dragon. The fusion method of the Mohist family was born out of the secret art of combining dragons of the Manlang tribe. You prospered by it, but also died by it. Because the Manlang tribe captured a young Taixu ancient dragon with a trace of royal blood, it attracted the Taixu ancient dragon emperor. According to records in ancient barbarian books, on that day, a huge dragon flew out of the clouds, its claws fell from the sky, and created an endless pit on the grassland. The entire savage dragon tribe was wiped out under that claw. That deep pit is the dragon burial basin, where we are standing now. Amon's clone under the mound raised his eyebrows and said, "The Taixu ancient dragon emperor thousands of years ago. Zhu Kun." He took another look at the highly organized mountains in front of him, like a city wall, and said, "TSK, it's such a terrifying power. So what we need is actually the most original version of the Helong secret technique, rather than the 100 Beasts art that was changed beyond recognition by the Mohists." The main body raised the corner of its mouth and sketched a smile. The dragon fusion secret technique can fuse not just dragons. Humans can use it to fuse any magical beasts. It's just that the fusion success rate of magical beasts with dragon bloodline is higher. But we are spiritual insects. When we use them, they can fuse with humans. Amon unfolded the scroll, and a large amount of information poured into his head. This scroll contained not only the most primitive version of the art of combining dragons, but also the summary of the experiments conducted by the Mohist family over the years, as well as crude, the still imperfect 100 Beasts point. The secret technique of Helong can fuse monsters, including body and soul. Each person can only fuse once, otherwise the body and soul will collapse. There are two fusion methods. One is to choose young, recently born monsters with strong bloodline. The souls of this kind of monsters are relatively pure, and after fusion, they will not have a great impact on their own will. After fusion, they can improve their own qualifications, and are suitable for children who are new to Dalki practice. However, children cannot learn such complicated secret techniques that are comparable to heaven level techniques. They can only be performed by others. Another way is to directly fuse adult monsters, so that you can directly obtain the opponent's strength and directly improve yourself. It is usually used when breaking through a large realm. The souls of adult monsters have grown up and contain a ferocious aura, so they will basically not choose to fuse with living monsters, but rather with the corpses of recently deceased monsters that have had their souls removed. The disadvantage of the second method is that adult monsters do not have the plasticity of juvenile monsters. After fusion, they will be finalized and lose the possibility of further progress. The advantage is that you can directly possess the opponent's powerful combat power. However, this kind of fusion is not without limitations. That is, the person who fuses must have the corresponding soul realm, otherwise the soul will not be able to withstand the pressure of the fusion. If it is directly fused with the corpse of an overly powerful monster, if you want to fuse the body of a Warcraft with 1000 strength, then the fusion person must have a spirit soul. If you want to fuse a Warcraft entity with Dao Sheng level, you need a heavenly soul. Otherwise, the probability of success is very slim. The Mohists improved 100 Beasts has reduced the difficulty of learning, and a person can selectively fuse the body parts of the monsters, integrating the power of multiple monsters into one. The same part can only be fused once. 100 Beasts has not completely solved the rejection reaction between different limbs. The more they fuse, the bodies will repel each other and face the risk of disintegration. Both of these secret techniques are very suitable for Amon. The spirit insect itself has the ability to parasitically integrate into other people's bodies. It has strong compatibility and can avoid the side effects of the rejection conflict in the art of 100 Beasts to the greatest extent. As for the secret technique of combining dragons, Amon is still an underage Warcraft baby with huge potential. As long as he doesn't do anything that damages his potential, he will be sent to the Dao Sheng point. If someone wants to use the secret technique of combining dragons, young Amon is the most suitable person. The price, of course, is the habit of wearing monocles. After obtaining the secret technique, Amon immediately began to verify some of his conjectures. He looked at the Amon clone who brought him the scroll and said with a smile, "It's you. The more capable, the more work." The Clone Amon sighed. I knew that the original body should be hung on the street lamp, even more black-hearted than the most black-hearted capitalist. He complained a few words and asked, how to do it? Amon's original body sent a mental message. The clone began to act. He looked at the lightning turtle lying on the original body's shoulder, reached out and took it over, and launched the dragon closing secret technique on it. A grey mist rose from Amon's body. In the mist, with a little starlight, he turned into a bug with 12 rings and star-like colors. His body melted and turned into a pool of grey liquid, and the lightning turtle also melted and turned into a pool of blue-purple liquid. The two pools of liquid gradually approached and merged. Grey mixed with blue-purple mixed with grey, and the boundary between the two gradually blurred and became indistinguishable. Amon's original body watched quietly on the side. He did not connect to the spirit of the clone, fearing that it would bring unknown effects to the original body. As time went on, the liquid burst out with a stronger momentum, breaking through Daohuang and surpassing Daozang, but this momentum was suppressed by an inexplicable force. The liquid suddenly split into 6 smaller liquids. Then, they gradually deformed to form the outline of a human body. After the simple human figure was outlined, facial features such as nose, glasses, and mouth also slowly appeared. Finally, 5 identical Amons appeared in front of Amon. They all had the realm of entering Daohuang for the first time. The secret technique has not been completed yet. The fusion of the body has ended, but there is also the fusion of the soul. In the dark space, a grey mist filled the air. The huge lightning turtle appeared here in the form of a soul. Because of the secret technique, the spirit worm parasitic in its body was also separated and classified on the side of Amon's soul. Opposite the soul of the lightning turtle, Amon, wearing a black robe and a pointed soft hat, expanded rapidly. He opened his mouth and swallowed the lightning turtle in one gulp. After taking a look at the vague behemoth hidden behind the black fog, and feeling the vast, ancient, bloodthirsty, and crazy breath revealed by it, Amon did not stay for long, and immediately left the soul space. The 5 Amons opened their eyes together after the first secret technique was performed. Amon took out the corpse of Mo Shao, the souls collected before, and the strong corpses deliberately left when slaughtering the barbarian tribes, and he continued to try. After many experiments, Amon summarized some rules. Secret techniques are not necessarily human against magic beasts, or magic beasts against humans. Magic beasts can also fuse magic beasts. Secret techniques can be performed on corpses, but not on souls. The time worm that has been fused will lose its parasitic ability, but it will not affect the splitting and aggregation. After the unfused time worm and the fused time worm aggregate into one, they also have no parasitic ability. A person can only fuse once. If someone has already performed it, then you can no longer fuse with him or his corpse. Using the dragon merger secret art is different from parasitism. After fusion, the target will completely merge with you. The fusion of the two will also be included in Amon's volume rules system, and it cannot break through the limit of not exceeding 1/10 of the body's volume. The last one is also the reason why 5 Amons appear after the first use of the secret art and the fusion of the lightning turtle. For a moment, the cultivation of the clone broke through to the Daozang strength, but because the fusion body was also identified as Amon, the level would be suppressed by the rules before his cultivation was reduced, and the energy overflowed. Amon took the initiative to split, and became 5 clones that did not exceed the volume limit and were weaker. After Amon figured out what would happen if he used the dragon merger secret art, he began to wait in place. A few days later, a dark crack slowly emerged beside Amon, and a silver-white flame squeezed out of the crack. Then, a pair of pale hands stretched out from the crack, holding both sides, and pulled the vertical crack hard, pulling the gap into a passage for one person to pass through, and the Guardian Meng slowly walked out of the void. After seeing Zhu Ren repairing in Eagle Fang City, and using the space wormhole again, and personally experiencing the structure of the space channel, Amon had a better understanding of the power of space, and could already create a temporary unstable space channel with the fire of space. The Guardian Meng handed the secret method he had just obtained to Amon himself. The latter stroked his monocle, and the corners of his mouth curled up, outlining a smile. He clapped his hands, and sent a message to all the Amons through the connection of the fire of destiny. Okay, all Amons, pay attention. Everything is ready. I want to make a bug. Please cooperate actively if you click on the Amon's name. Let's try and see if we can make this bug work. The Amon scattered around, including Wu Meng, Yun Meng, Yuan Gong, Zhao Mingru, etc., all raised their right hands at the same time, or pinched their monocles in different postures, or pinched their right eye sockets. The clones were not clear about what the original body had been planning, and at this moment, they all showed a very interested expression. The little purple crystal-winged Lion King yawned and used his claws to get Zhao King and others who were climbing on it to play. Stay away from me. Don't you have any sense of marginality, Zhao? Mengru closed the book, walked to the window, and looked into the distance. The Xianfen refining key tower was faintly visible in the mist point. He whispered to himself, "Hey, interesting, Zhao." Meng stared at Zhao Yan's portrait and continued to be in a daze. She did not receive the message sent by Amon. After a long time, she put away the portrait and whispered, "The inner courtyard assessment is about to start. I'll wait for you, Master Zhao Yan." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466 Soul Devourer. Ever since he met the bird protector and parasitized Yan Jin, Amon had been trying to let the spirit insects sneak into the soul palace in the form of prey, including handing over the parasitized soul of Furukawa to the guardian duck, including the hard work of the guardian to hand over the soul point. Although these spirit insects were indeed sent to the soul palace, they were only branch halls. What Amon really wanted was to blend into any one of the heaven, earth, and human beings in the Xiangang 3 palaces, where sufficient numbers were stored. The origin of the soul point. The souls in the branch hall will be sent to Xiangang Hall, but this time interval seems a bit long. At least, neither the guardian eagle nor the guardian owl showed any signs of sending their souls away in a short period of time. The incident with the Zhao family made Amon see an opportunity. After the guardian falcon harvested the souls of Amon who pretended to be members of the Zhao family, he made special arrangements and handed them over level by level as quickly as possible. Send them, along with Zhao Zan, to the heavenly palace of Xiangang Palace, and into the hands of Hun Misheng. In a hall filled with an eerie atmosphere, huge black pillars stood, with countless chains connecting the pillars. The chains are tied with slightly illusory soul light groups. Dots of light spots are extracted from the soul and merged into the black pillar. Then they are transmitted along the thicker chains at the bottom of the black pillar to the center of the soul palace. In a room made of special materials on a pillar, what is tied is not a soul body, but a living person. He is Amon disguised as Zhao Zan. On several pillars in front of him, the stolen souls of Amon, who were disguised as people from the Zhao clan, were tied. A calm voice without any emotion sounded, echoing in the hall. "Zhao Zan, have you thought clearly? These chains are made of special materials. They will continue to extract the soul origin of your tribe. With their weak souls, I'm afraid it will not take long before they dissipate. Tell me, regarding the whereabouts of this Tuosh ancient Emperor Jade, I will let your Zhao family go." Zhao Zan and Amon look calm. "I don't think you Soul Clan will let us go if we reveal the whereabouts of the ancient Jade. Ha, don't worry, the ancient Jade is in a very safe place, and you won't be able to find it." The indifferent voice sounded again, as expected of a descendant of Zhao Zuan. He can be so calm under such circumstances. "I have asked your tribesmen, and they don't even know what the Zhao tribe is, or what ancient Jade is. I thought you had forgotten the past history, but it seems that is not the case. You seem to have retained something. At least you, the clan leader, still know something." Zhao Zan and Amon smiled. Yes, wouldn't it be too sad if even the descendants of such a large race had forgotten its history? In our Zhao clan, this is a secret that only the clan leader will pass down from generation to generation. He paused and asked, "Is the Soul Clan still in charge of the Soul Emperor?" "Of course, the patriarch has been in charge of our clan for thousands of years, and is still prosperous. Take me to see him. I want to have a chat with him as the leader of the Zhao clan." Zhao Zan Amon said. The voice talking to Zhao Zan was silent for a while, and after a long time, he uttered one word. "Okay, Man with an ordinary face, wearing a black robe, and slightly rough hands suddenly appeared in front of Zyrozan and Amon. He appeared so abruptly, as if he was already here. "Ah, you the soul-destroying life?" Zyrozan asked Amon. "It's me. After you meet the clan leader later, you'd better be more respectful, and tell us the whereabouts of the ancient jade." There was no movement in Han Misheng's eyes. He glanced at Zyrozan, and the chains on the latter's body were automatically untied. Han Misheng grabbed Zyrozan and Amon's shoulders. Zyrozan and Amon felt the world spin for a while, and countless colorful lights and shadows flashed before their eyes, followed by nothingness and deathly silence. After Zyrozan and Amon left with Han Misheng, a spiritual insect emerged from Amon's soul body. Pretending to be Zyroken, it silently turned into a starlight, tracing the spots of light that were taken away from the soul body, wandering among the chains, until he came to the huge soul light group in the center of the heavenly palace. When Han Misheng was still there, he was worried about being discovered by him and kept silent. Now he took advantage of Zyrozan's departure, and took the opportunity to act. The other strong men in the Soul Palace did not have the terrifying perception of the Dzogchen realm of Han Misheng, and their attention was attracted by the conversation between Zyrozan and Han Misheng and the movements when they left, so it was difficult to detect such subtle changes. This spiritual insect only felt like a drop of water flowing into a huge lake. As the most important of the three palaces of Xiangang, the Heavenly Palace is personally guarded by the Master of the Soul Palace, Han Misheng. The number of souls it gathers is naturally not comparable to that of the human palace. At the same time, Amon's body in the northern continent chuckled. Successful, he issued an order to split to all Amon. Amon, who was originally 1/10 of his body, split into 10, becoming 100th. The spirit insect that entered the soul light group activated the soul eating talent, increasing its size to 1/10 of its original body. The advantage of soul eater that is different from normal absorption is that it does not require refining time, and the conversion rate is extremely high, making it almost lossless absorption. Then, Amon's true form took out a knife and cut his own throat. He committed suicide. After the original body dies, the will of the original body will awaken in a clone, and this clone becomes the new true body. Amon's will chooses to awaken in the spirit insect at the source of the soul's light group in the temple of heaven. This spiritual insect has become a new body, due to the advanced preparation. The clones will not suffer losses due to the change in the size of the main body. His current main body size is 1/10 of the original, while the size of the largest clone is 100th of the original, which is 10 times the difference. He activated the soul devouring talent and refined the vast amount of soul origin in an instant. In order to prevent accidents and to prevent the people below from using it secretly, the Soul Palace made some tricks in these soul origins, and a trace of black mist entered Amon's soul. But Amon didn't care about this. He now had only one goal: to expand the size of the main body in the shortest time. His soul realm rose steadily and quickly reached the level of the late heaven realm. Amon disguised himself as a soul light ball, which could temporarily deceive the people of the Soul Palace and prevent them from finding any abnormalities. After all, the strong men of the Soul Palace would not be idle and would frequently and carefully check the situation of the light ball. They would only occasionally glance at the growth of the number of soul origins. Even if it was just a soul body, the soul of the late heaven realm was slightly equal to a normal high star Daozun. The gap between each star of Daozun is very huge. Although the maximum of the clone can only reach 1/10 of the original body, it is also at the Daozun level. The clones of Amon in the northern continent took out the souls collected from the previous massacre of the barbarian tribes and started to improve their strength by running the soul devouring secret method brought by the Meng Protector. These Amon clones have the same qualifications as the original body. Without damaging the foundation, they can grow to Daosheng through normal practice, so they can also grow to a good height by using the secret method to exchange potential for strength. Half a day later, more than a dozen Daozang Amons were born. They lost the potential to go further and consumed the collected souls in exchange for the current strength. Although they lost their potential, their ability to aggregate did not disappear. These dozen Daozang Amons aggregated into an Amon clone with a strength of 4-star Daozun. This clone also has no possibility of going further through normal practice, but Amon now does not care about potential. A silver white flame appeared in Daozun Amon's right hand, and with a light stroke, He tore the space and built a space wormhole leading to the Gamma Empire. Gamma Empire, Warcraft Mountains, next to the temple behind the Zhao family's clanland. Wu Meng and Amon, whose eyes were as pure as a baby, looked aside with a sense of something. In that empty place, a space crack suddenly appeared, and the crack expanded to form a passage for people to pass through. Douzan Amon and Meng Hufa came out. Hello, newly born Amon. Amon, whose eyes were as pure as a baby, greeted politely. Douzan's clone nodded at him, and then looked at Wu Meng. Give me the ancient jade. Wu Meng, who was wearing the appearance of Zhao Yuanshan, laughed and handed the Zhao family's ancient jade to him without refusing. I'm looking forward to your performance. It should be very interesting. Dao Zun Amon cut through the space again and came to the Blackhorn region. He randomly found a city to place the Guardian Meng and said, the main body can't be kept secret for long. It may be discovered by the people of the Soul Palace and killed in a few days. You should quickly create another Douzan clone. My action this time is very dangerous. If I don't pay attention, I may die. After all, in front of those beings I will face, Douzan is just a bigger ant. I know. The Guardian Meng nodded, stroked his monocle, and said softly, I wish you good luck, Dao. Zun Amon left and came to the inner courtyard of Canon College quietly and came to Zhao Mingru. He turned his head and looked at the attic next to him and asked, how is her situation now? Has she made any abnormal behavior? Zhao Mingru smiled. Very stable. Nothing has been done. The fact that the main body died and was reborn, and the upper limit of our clone's body size has increased significantly should not be hidden from her, but now she seems to only care about her master Zhao Yan, and she doesn't react much to our actions. Just don't let her mess around. After leaving a word, Douzan Amon took a step and disappeared in front of Zhao Mingru. In a few breaths, his figure appeared above the inner courtyard Qianfen refining key tower below. Students from Canon College came in and out, and the instructors on duty also looked leisurely, not noticing the black-robed man in the sky. Douzan Amon looked at the black tower. His eyes seemed to penetrate layers of obstacles. Passed through the solid seal, and saw the magma world below. In the seal, fallen heart flame. Amon raised his head, playing with a jade slip, with a smile on his face. Chapter 467 to Osh Ancient Emperor Cave. In the inner courtyard of Canon Academy, at the bottom of the Qianfen refining key tower, in the magma world under the seal, a crack appeared out of thin air. Silver white flames gushed out, and the space broke inch by inch, revealing a black passage. There seemed to be various color blocks flashing in the black, giving people a colorful feeling. Douzan Amon walked out of the passage. When Amon was still Dao Huang and his clone was only at the peak strength of Dao Wang, he could use his own insight and expand loopholes to remove and weaken the characteristics of the seal, pass through the seal, and come to the underground. Now that he has become Daozun, it is naturally easier. A colorless and transparent human-shaped phantom emerged from the magma. His body quickly outlined lines and emerged with colors. The transparent body became solid and turned into a young man in a black robe. I'm going to the ancient emperor's cave, Douzan Amon said. As he spoke, his body gradually changed, his face became soft and bright, his body became more slender, and his chest bulged slightly. He became Amon became Ameng. Fallen heart flame. Amon casually threw the jade slip made by Zhu Kun, which contained one of his attacks, to the other party, stroked his monocle, and asked with a chuckle, is your mind okay? Don't mess things up, Dao. Zun Amon responded, the soul hole's soul devouring secret method is to integrate the soul power into and stimulate the body. It is more about physical changes and has less impact on the soul and spirit. At least it is less for me. It is within the tolerable range. I just need to make some adjustments afterwards. The essence of my soul now is a soul aggregate of Amon's clones that grew naturally and basically maintains a similar mental state to the original body. He didn't care about heart flame Amon anymore and rushed straight into the magma. With the help of the power of the green lotus earth heart fire, he sensed the situation in the magma and rushed towards the fire lizard man. The target has Daozung's strength and is no match for Amon now. He was knocked unconscious without any resistance. Amon turned into a starlight and sank into his body. Parasitism. began. The worm with 12 segments and star-like colors extended countless tiny threads from both sides of its body, penetrated into the brain of the fire lizard man, and then spread throughout its body. After controlling the body, Amon's soul entered the soul space of the fire lizard man. It was easy to control its soul, and it turned from shallow parasitism to deep parasitism. The originally unconscious fire lizard man suddenly opened his eyes, and there seemed to be starlight flashing in his eyes, and then quickly turned into a deep one. Amon controlled the body of the fire lizard man, and swam quickly into the depths of the magma. Halfway, a larger lizard man at the Daozun level blocked his way. The leader has ordered that everyone can only stay at a depth that matches their strength, and cannot cross the level, let alone approach the cemetery of the gods. A slightly rough voice sounded, and was transmitted to Amon's ears through the magma. After Heartfire, Amon separated the spirit worms many times, and parasitized the flame lizardmen into the space where the ancient emperor's cave was located. The leader of the lizardmen noticed something was wrong, and made corresponding arrangements. Get out of the way, I'm the messenger of the gravekeeper. Amon took out the jade slip containing the power of Zhu Kun's attack, and was ready to activate it at any time. An extremely dangerous aura spread, making this Daozun level flame lizardman have the urge to turn around and run. It was a fatal threat, as if there were bloody big words in front of it reminding it to run. Two semi-saint level, milky white, and older looking lizardmen swam over. They stared at the lizardman controlled by Amon for a while, and said helplessly, since you are the messenger of the gravekeeper, then go over. Don't take that thing out casually. Although ordinary flame lizardmen are dominated by their fierce instincts, even those with Daohuan or even Daozang strength do not have much reason, but at the Daosan level, they can also think rationally, and know how to weigh the pros and cons. Zhu Kun has existed longer than all of them. He was trapped in the space of the ancient emperor's cave mansion long before the birth of the oldest existing semi-saint level flame lizardman. Therefore, the flame lizardman regarded Zhu Kun as the gravekeeper of the cemetery of the guardian god. They did not know that he was forced to guard the tomb, and they held a fearful and respectful attitude towards Zhu Kun. Since the lizardman controlled by Amon claimed to be the messenger of the gravekeeper, and produced such a dangerous credential, the lizardman leader did not pursue some doubts, and chose not to see them. The long years made them understand a truth. Sometimes following one's heart is a good choice. Sharing some of the memories of Heartfire Amon, he came to the space of the ancient emperor's cave mansion with ease. He stopped, left a spirit worm, to continue to control the lizardman, and as an Amon shot forward. Even if the characteristics of the Kinglian Earth Heartfire can provide good protection in the magma, even if Amon has reached the Daozun level, he cannot stay in the magma at this depth for too long. The environment here is already very bad. Without the protection of the Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire, a Daozun would be wiped out in an instant. Amon entered the space where the ancient emperor's cave was located. It was pitch black around him, with only a small bright spot in the distance. That was the location of the cave's gate and the square in front of the gate. Without hesitation, he quickly rushed towards the gate of Tuo's ancient emperor's cave. Sensing the familiar breath and familiar smell, Zhu Kun's eyes showed excitement and expectation. He turned into a human form and subconsciously rubbed his hands, waiting for Amon's arrival. After seeing Amon this time and feeling the aura on his body, Zhu Kun asked hesitantly, Daozun, is this your true body? Yes. Amon, the Daozun with Xiao Meng's appearance, nodded and chuckled. Since you and I have reached an agreement, senior, and are willing to get along with each other in a friendly way, then naturally I don't have to be too timid and just use my body to get down. Zhu Kun's eyes narrowed, and he had some doubts about Xian's little cute sister. He always felt that she was a bit mysterious. Even he found it difficult to tell the difference between true and false clone abilities, as well as the strength of Daozun shown now in the records of the jade slips he obtained. Xiao Meng was not even a Daowan. Otherwise, he and his child would not have been so miserable being chased by a 6th level monster. As if he saw Zhu Kun's strange fire, Amon used Xiao Meng's face to show a nice smile. Senior Zhu Kun, are you doubting my cultivation? Zhu Kun nodded. The changes in your cultivation are somewhat abnormal, Amon replied. This is caused by the characteristics of my race and the skills I practice. The little cute sister in your child's mouth is me, not me. What do you mean? ZHU frowned. Amon responded, to put it simply, I divided myself into several parts, and each part is me, but only when they are combined into one can I be complete. Each me has its own independent will, feelings, and life. We are relatively independent, but sometimes we let other me help with things, and share some information. What? Xian met was one of my entities. In order to help Xian find his parents, he shared some information with us. What? You killed for the first time was one of my original bodies. It was different from the subsequent clones that were made using secret methods. Originally, when several of my clones reached the 9-star Daozun, they merged into one again and became a complete me. More than 90% sure of breaking through the Daozun and becoming a Dao Saint. As he spoke, there was a bit more complaint in his eyes. ZHU coughed awkwardly. Although he still had some doubts, he was too embarrassed to continue this topic. He rubbed his hands and asked, have you given the inheritance jade slip to my child? How is she learning? Can she master it? I have already made the second jade slip. ZHU did not engrave all the inheritance on a jade slip, but gave it in stages, not only so that Xian could better digest and absorb it, so that the knowledge would not be too huge and complicated to start with, but also in order to be able to communicate with Xian. Communicate more. In addition, he also had his own little thoughts, fearing that Amon would not do things for him after taking the benefits, so the fighting skills he promised to give were also recorded in batches this time. Amon did not bring him any new video records about Xian, and replied, because of your matter, she is angry with me, and has ignored me for many days. She said that she is an orphan, has no father or mother, and has no intention of learning the inheritance you gave me. This is a lie. Amon said this deliberately to shake Zukan's mind and make his desire to leave the cave and regain freedom become stronger and let him focus on thinking about how to obtain Xian's forgiveness, thus temporarily ignoring his own abnormality. As expected, ZHU froze, his eyes lost focus, and he took 3 steps back, looking completely lost. Child, my child, he was so irritated that he just kept repeating this sentence. Amon said softly, Senior Zukan, I'm also very interested in this cave. Let's go in and take a look. ZHU didn't care what Amon said at all. His head felt like paste. Amon walked to the huge, thick and simple stone door of the ancient emperor's cave and carefully observed every inch of the door, with stars in his eyes. With the blessing of his ability to see loopholes and break seals, his vision seemed to see an invisible barrier. There were cracks on this barrier like broken glass. The junctions of the cracks were all vulnerabilities or nodes, where the seal is weak. Amon looked at it for a long time, and finally found the biggest loophole, which was created when the void swallowing flame and a pure lotus demonic fire escaped from the ancient emperor's cave, and it has not healed yet. He stepped forward and tried to expand the loophole to allow himself to pass, but failed. The ability of breaking seals and expanding loopholes that Amon can exert at his current level is not enough to allow him to bypass the seal set by a Dao Emperor and enter the ancient emperor's cave. A certain medium is also needed to take advantage of this bug. And Amon has exactly such a medium in his hands. He took out a piece of warm ancient jade, the Tuosh ancient emperor jade belonging to the Zio clan. This is a key to the ancient emperor's cave. Although it is only 1/8, it also symbolizes certain access rights. Amon used this 1/8 key to expand his access rights. At the weakest node of the seal, he used a bug to successfully open a passage for himself to enter. The ancient stone door twisted and formed a small whirlpool. Amon took a step forward and disappeared into the whirlpool. ZHU reacted belatedly and understood what Amon was trying. When he saw this scene, his eyes widened, looking extremely incredulous. In Chapter 468, YOUN-039, Gonna kill me. Through a short passage, Amon came to a special space. The whole space was shrouded by a layer of light mist, and the mist was filled with a scent of elixir. The whole space was dead silent, without a trace of sound. In this vast and boundless space, there was a piece of land floating, like a castle in the air. Amon flew towards the vast and boundless land. After landing on the land, a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. This land was too vast, and he didn't know which direction to go for a while. After a little hesitation, He rushed towards the center of the continent. Amon was surrounded by silver-white flames, and he flew at his fastest speed like a meteor. After going deep into a distance, he no longer knew the direction. This continent is a huge plain, without any reference point, but he never changed his path, and went straight forward. After running for most of the day, he finally felt a vast and ancient breath, and a trace of joy flashed in his eyes. On the huge plain, there stands an ancient stone temple. On the stone temple, there are a lot of reliefs, including humans, giant beasts, oceans, mountains, depicting ancient scenes, all of which are related to fire. In front of the stone temple is an extremely huge square, with huge pillars of thousands of feet on both sides of the square. The majestic momentum is overwhelming, making people feel daunted. Amon landed on the square, paused for a while, and walked forward at a faster pace. After moving forward for a distance, he saw a ball of deep yellow flame rising on a stone pillar not far ahead. Ranked 23rd on the list of strange fires. Zuanhuangan. This is a real strange fire, but it is extremely weak, and the source power inside has been almost exhausted with the passage of time. Amon paused, flashed to the top of the stone pillar, stretched out his right hand, and took it into refined. Although the source has almost been lost, the spirituality is so weak that it seems to be non-existent. Such a strange fire will have no effect if others refine it. But Amon is different. The essence of the strange fire is still there. As long as the spirituality and origin are supplemented, it can become a real larval strange fire. Supplementing spirituality is what Amon is best at. He only needs the essence of the strange fire. The spirituality and origin can be supplemented by integrating the spirit insect. Continuing forward, the 10,000 beasts spirit fire, yin and yang dual flame, netherworld poison fire, wind wrath dragon flame, volcano stone flame, water cloud fire flame, turtle spirit earth fire, 9 dragons thunder gang fire, 9 nether wind flame, 3000 flame, red lotus karma fire, 9 nether gold ancestor fire, 8 desolations destruction flame, living spirit flame, and golden emperor burning sky flame were all collected by him one by one. Looking at the stone pillars that originally represented the pure lotus demon fire and the void devouring flame, Amon felt a little regretful. The two qualities of purification power and devouring power were what he wanted most and helped him the most. The diffuse mist suddenly dissipated, and a huge shadow enveloped the square. A huge stone statue that was 10,000 feet tall suddenly appeared in front of Amon. The stone statue exudes a terrifying aura that is above the heaven and earth. It is the aura of the supreme and God. An incomparable terrifying pressure suddenly descended, and Amon felt his body sink. He knelt down involuntarily, and his knees shook. The hard stone slab into powder. He tutted, but was not angry. Daodi was indeed no different from a god on the Daoki continent. He always respected the gods, and it was normal to kneel down. He raised his head and looked up at the huge statue. Around the stone statue, many gorgeous light balls were flying. Among these light balls were ancient scrolls, which contained extremely strong spirituality. These were hundreds of high-level heavenly martial arts. Amon did not need much for fighting skills. With the strange fire he had just taken from the square, and his 2 beast fires that were higher in nature than the Dupo plain strange fire, he already had a total of 22 kinds of strange fire. The Buddha's wrath lotus that was displayed was stronger than any high-level heavenly fighting skills. When in doubt, the Buddha's wrath lotus is the right choice, and it will kill everyone with one blast. No one has come to this space for a long time. A long voice sounded. The voice was old, and it had a bit of ancient flavor. Amon looked in the direction of the voice, and at the shoulder of the stone statue, an old figure stood with his hands behind his back, looking at him calmly, as if looking at an ant. Looking at the old man in simple robes, looking at the gorgeous long hair that seemed to be composed of dozens of different colors of flames, Amon slowly stood up. At this time, the pressure had gradually subsided. Although it was still strong and frightening, it did not have the kind of pressure that seemed to be real on the body. Tuosh, ancient emperor. No senior, is it the emperor grade pill? Amon asked in a half questioning, half affirming tone. He knew the identity of the man in front of him, but it did not prevent him from deliberately pretending to know only half of the truth. You have a good eye. The ancient emperor's cave was obviously not opened. How did you get in? Emperor grade young pill asked. Amon smiled and said, because I have the ability to break and weaken the seal. I found a loophole in the seal of this cave and got in through it. Hearing this, Dedan couldn't help but get excited. He had been trapped here for too long. He had helped void devouring flame and pure lotus demon fire to tear the shackles and help them escape, hoping that they would save him in the future. But in the end, these two guys never came back, and he had already given up hope on them. Now, a new hope appeared before his eyes. Dedan's figure disappeared from the shoulders of the statue of Emperor Tuosh and appeared in front of Amon. He looked at Amon with burning eyes. Take me out. I can give you whatever you want. Kung Fu, fighting skills, you can choose from these. He waved his hand and took photos of all the light clusters in the air that were circling around the statue of Emperor Tuosh. The light faded, revealing ancient scrolls. Looking at these heaven-level advanced skills and fighting skills that could cause a bloody storm if taken outside, Amon remained unmoved. His expression did not change at all. He spread his hands and replied, I can't do it. My ability can only let me pass by myself. Although it is okay to carry some pills, scrolls or other items, Senior, you are different. You are the main target of the restrictions left by Emperor Tuosh. If the seal of Emperor Tuosh is a wall, then my ability is to open a temporary small opening in the wall for rats and cockroaches to pass through. Senior, you need to collapse the entire wall to get past the elephant. Emperor Tuosh showed disappointment. His eyes became cold, and he said in a bad tone, since you can't help me get out of trouble, what else can I do with you? He revealed a hint of murderous intent. Amon took out the Zhao family's ancient jade and played with it, showing a joking smile. You dare to kill me? Dan smiled coldly. Why don't you dare, Amon? Threw away the ancient jade in his hand. Dedan didn't realize what he meant for a while and frowned and said, even if you have the key, what's the use of just an incomplete fragment? This is not the reason why I don't kill you. Amon showed a gentle smile. I mean, I brought a fragment of the key in. If you kill me, the fragment will stay in the cave. People from the outside will not be able to collect the keys and open the ancient emperor's cave. Senior, you will never be able to get out of trouble. After a pause, he showed a provocative smile and pointed at himself with his index finger. How about it? Do you want to beat me to death? Dedan was stunned, with a look of shock and panic on his face. This was the first time he had encountered such a threat, and he had to accept it. What is this operation? He actually brought the key into the ancient emperor's cave, he said nonchalantly. This. I hesitated for a long time, unable to utter a complete sentence. Just when Dedan was at a loss, Amon took the initiative to give the steps. Senior, do you want to make a deal with me? Give me all the treasures in the ancient emperor's cave except you, and I will collect the ancient jade to help you get out of trouble. Dan showed a sign of emotion. Breaking the shackles of Emperor Tuosh on him and leaving the cave was his greatest wish. Amon continued, if it were other people, you yourself would probably be their biggest target, but I'm different. I practice burning dew. I want to be promoted to Da Emperor. The inheritance of Tuosh ancient emperor is better way, so I have no irreconcilable conflict with you. With that said, Amon showed off his fusion fire. Looking at the gorgeous flames, Dedan's face changed slightly, and he lost his voice and said, the technique of Emperor Tuosh. The name Burning Dew was given by Yao Chen. Emperor Dan didn't know it, but through its special ability to fuse different fires, he judged that the technique practiced by Amon was consistent with that of the ancient Emperor Tuosh. Amon's original body and those pure clones that maintained their own essence did not practice any exercises, because no exercises were in line with his attributes. Practicing techniques with different attributes will weaken the nature of one's own soul, which is what Amon has always tried to avoid. Those Amon who practiced the burning technique and completely transformed themselves into strange fire even lost their special talents such as parasitism and seal breaking. Every time they activate these abilities, they do so through other spiritual insects that are united with them. Amon was not sure whether death and rebirth would be able to get rid of this weakening after cultivating the original body. So he has always maintained a very cautious attitude on this matter, in order to gain trust in the Emperor's bill. This clone specially practiced Fenju. Before coming point Dan thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, but you have to collect all the keys and open the ancient emperor's cave before you can take away these fighting skills and the inheritance of the ancient emperor Tuosh. Amon bargained. First let me choose one martial art and 2 fighting skills to take away. In addition, you have to help me kill a person and give his soul to me. Giving me martial arts and fighting skills in advance will help me improve my strength and collect ancient jade better and faster. There are many people who want to help me kill people who covet the treasure in the cave. I have to eliminate my competitors so that I can ensure that I get this treasure. In addition, that person also covets you, senior. Okay. Dan nodded in agreement without worrying too much about these small details. Amon raised the corners of his mouth and formed a smile. Then, happy cooperation. Then, he began to choose martial arts and fighting skills. Amon browsed through the introductions of the exercises one by one. After picking and choosing for a day, he finally found a method that suited him. This technique is called the no-phase Ju technique and is suitable for people of any attribute to practice. Then, he chose a body fighting skill and a soul defense fighting skill point. After finishing the selection, he looked at Dan and said softly, "Senior, I'll take my leave now." Dan nodded. "Don't forget our agreement." Amon responded sincerely, "Of course. I also want the inheritance of Tuosh ancient emperor." Chapter 469 Trap. In the dead space, where the ancient emperor's cave is located, a huge stone gate stands majestically, and the huge square in front of the gate is empty and looks extremely deserted. Zhu Kun looked at the place where Amon disappeared and paced back and forth. During the thousands of years he was trapped, he tried all methods to break free and leave this space, or enter the ancient emperor's cave, but without any progress. He couldn't figure out how Amon got in. He only took a fragment of the key. A small vortex of silver and black appeared on the huge stone door, and a stream of light flew out and turned into a human figure. Amon, who looked like Xiao Meng, landed steadily, looked at Zhu Kun, who looked surprised, and said hello. Senior Zhu Kun. Zhu Kun rubbed his hands. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and tried his best to say in a calm tone, "You are Ziyan's good friend. If you don't mind, you can call me Uncle." "Okay, Uncle Kun." Amon followed suit. After a moment of silence, Zhu Kun still couldn't hold back his desire to enter the ancient emperor's cave or break free, and asked, "Xiao Meng niece, how did you get in? Can you help me get out of this ghost place?" Amon raised the ancient jade in his hand and explained, "This is 1/8 of the key, and it has partial permission to open the door. No seal is impeccable or flawless, not even the one set by Emperor Dao. I have the special talent of discerning and amplifying loopholes, weakening and breaking seals. I combined my natural ability with the open door authority contained in this 1/8 ancient jade to create a temporary passage. This passage can only be used by myself. I cannot maintain it or help pass it." Zhu Kun's eyes dimmed, his expression dropped, and he said helplessly, "Oh, it's really not that easy." "Wait, not necessarily." Amon suddenly said. Zhu Kun suddenly raised his head, with hope and desire in his eyes. Amon turned his head sideways, his eyes filled with stars, as if he was observing something. He turned back to stare at Zhu Kun, and a more powerful starlight lit up. Then, he lowered his head and held his chin, as if thinking about a plan. Zhu Kun rubbed his hands subconsciously and did not dare to breathe too heavily for fear of disrupting Amon's train of thought. "It seems not impossible," Amon said slowly. Zhu Kun's heart was beating wildly. Seeing that there was nothing more to say after Amon said this, he couldn't help but feel anxious and couldn't help but ask, "How to do it, Uncle Kun?" "You see, in addition to being able to pass through by myself, I can also carry some inanimate dead objects." Amon shook the Yaohei ring in his hand. "The restrictions set by Emperor Tuosh on you should affect both the body and the soul. If you separate the soul from the body, whether it's a single body or a single soul, the binding force is greatly reduced. I can hide your soul in the Neji, so that the binding force of the restriction will be further reduced. Then, I can try to use the bug to take your soul out first, then come back and take your body out. This method may not be successful, and I don't have a ring that big enough to fit your body. In addition, how to separate your soul and body is also a problem. Although I have heard about it, there is no such secret method. Seeing the hope of escape, ZHU Kun could hardly contain his inner joy and immediately said, "Try it, let's try it now." Uncle Kun, do you know this kind of secret technique? Amon's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Ha 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 ha, such a trivial matter, why do you need any secret method? As he said, his body swayed, his soul left the body directly, and the body returned to the appearance of the giant dragon point. When the soul reaches the great perfection of the heavenly realm, it can directly leave the body and fight the enemy. Moreover, the great perfection of the heavenly realm is a stage of transformation of the soul. Even without the protection of the body and exposed, it will not appear fragile. Although Warcraft is relatively weak in terms of souls, and is generally weaker than humans of the same level, ZHU Kun is a strong man who has been at the pinnacle thousands of years ago. He has enough time to make up for his shortcomings. His soul is also in the Imperial realm, like Gu Yuan and Emperor Hun Shan. The soul at this stage does not need any secret method to leave the body. Little cute niece, please. With that, ZHU Kun's soul turned into a stream of light and flew into Amon's ring. But, Uncle Kun, your body, Amon said hesitantly. It doesn't matter, let the soul out first, then I will find materials to make a ring with enough space, and you can help me get the body out. ZHU Kun said with a smile. Although there are many doubts about Xiao Meng, ZHU Kun doesn't mind giving it a try. Even if his soul has no body, he can still exert the power of Gaia crossing Daosheng. Strong strength is his confidence. Well, I'll give it a try. Amon nodded seriously. He walked towards the huge, ancient stone door and said, "Senior, your restriction is connected to the stone door, and the loophole is also on the stone door." As he spoke, he took out the ancient jade and pressed his hand on the stone door. A vortex of silver and black was created. Amon turned into a stream of light and flew into it. ZHU Kun felt that there were patches of rich color appearing in front of his eyes, and his eyes were filled with chaos. Just as he was about to use his soul power to observe, he heard Amon's voice. "Senior, please gather your soul power and try to reduce your presence. It's very stressful for me to bring you along, but it seems that you can do it if you try harder." Hearing this, ZHU Kun did not dare to make any unusual movements and cooperated with gathering the soul power. After a while, Amon's voice sounded again. "Sorry senior, I failed." His voice seemed a little weak, revealing a strong sense of fatigue. ZHU Kun's soul emerged from the ring and saw Amon, who was slumped on the ground and looked like he was about to collapse. Sweat her hair flowed down her cheeks and dripped from her chin. Her clothes were also wet, tightly attached to her body, outlining her exquisite curves. Oh, it doesn't matter. The restrictions left by Tuo's ancient emperor are not so easy to bypass. You can wait until you are stronger and reach Daosheng and try again. Anyway, thank you very much, ZHU Kun said solemnly. Then, he suddenly found that the surroundings were not the empty and dead space, but a thin layer of fog. A trace of confusion flashed in his eyes. Where is this? This is the interior of the ancient emperor's cave. If you want to get out of the bug, you need to take a detour. But I couldn't hold on to the end and came out halfway. Amon replied. You call this a failure? ZHU Kun's expression was slightly sluggish and then turned into ecstasy. Ha ha ha, isn't this just right? Let's go and get the inheritance of Tuo's ancient emperor together. Amon's eyes lit up and said, "That's right. I felt it was too dangerous before, so I didn't dare to go in. But now I have you, Uncle Kun, I should be able to try. Let's go." ZHU Kun said excitedly. After leaving a spirit worm in the original place, Amon flew forward with ZHU Kun. "Niece Xiao Meng, after getting the treasure, we will each take half." ZHU Kun laughed heroically. "Okay." The corners of Amon's mouth slowly curled up, outlining a smile. They walked forward and came to the strange fire square, where they saw the statue of Tuo's ancient emperor, which exuded a strong pressure. ZHU Kun was powerful, but his body trembled and returned to normal, unlike Amon, who was pressed to his knees when he first came in. "Is there someone else coming?" The old voice echoed behind the square. Zhu Kun frowned and looked forward. Seeing Dedan standing on the shoulder of the stone statue, he couldn't help but said, "Tuosh ancient emperor, Amon." Took this opportunity to fly up suddenly, came to Dedan, and quickly said, "It's him, help me kill him." Dedan was stunned. He remembered the previous agreement with Amon, and he did say that he needed to help him kill someone, but he thought it was when the ancient emperor's cave was opened. Unexpectedly, Amon brought the other party's soul in before the cave was opened. Although Dedan was powerful, he was just a pill after all. He had not been exposed to the intrigues of human society, and his mind was relatively simple. He was slightly dissatisfied, but he decided to abide by the agreement and help him kill the other party. Zhu Kun's face changed drastically, and he looked at Amon with reluctance and anger in his eyes for being deceived. Dedan made a move, and he pressed forward with an unmatched might. Even if Zhu Kun's body was still there and in his prime, he had to be very alert in the face of this palm, not to mention that only his soul was left. With a loud bang, Zhu Kun was slapped away without any resistance, flew out of the strange fire square, and landed on the plain outside, smashing a deep abyss crack on the ground. The power of Dedan is so terrifying. I can use his soul source after extracting it, Amon said quickly again. Dedan did not refuse. After killing the other party, handing over the soul to Amon was also in the previous agreement. He flew forward and attacked Zhu Kun. The battle ended quickly. After a while, Dedan returned to the strange fire square with a huge soul light ball. This ball of light was so huge that even the soul ball that Amon swallowed in the Xiangang palace was like the difference between a firefly and the bright moon. Amon's eyes showed joy, and he said respectfully, "Thank you, senior emperor." Dan looked at this large amount of soul essence and showed a hint of hesitation. This was also a great tonic for him. But he glanced at the 1/8 key hanging on Amon's waist. His mouth twitched and a hint of helplessness flashed across his face. This soul essence was not enough to make him promoted to Dowdy, so even if he absorbed it, he could not escape from the ancient emperor's cave. But he did not immediately hand over the soul origin to Amon, but asked with a serious face, "How did you bring him in?" Amon was well prepared and answered fluently, "He is just a soul body, which can be hidden in the ring. He is also a competitor for the inheritance of Tuosh ancient emperor. I managed to reach a temporary cooperation with him, and tricked him in. I said before, it's not that I don't want to take you out, but you are the main target of Tuosh ancient emperor, and the restrictions on you are too strong. If you don't collect the ancient jade and open the cave, your connection with this space will probably be unbreakable. Tuosh ancient emperor, you bastard." Dedan greeted Tuosh ancient emperor as usual, and threw the soul origin to Amon unhappily. "Take it, don't forget our agreement." Although he gave the origin, Dedan became more vigilant against Amon. The other party could trick that soul body in, so he could naturally trick himself. Chapter 470 and Swallow Dragons. If there was no other choice, Emperor Dan would have killed Amon with one palm. Amon showed a warm smile on his face. "Of course I will not forget. Senior, I will always remember your help to me." He then focused on the vast soul origin that was like the ocean, and Amon couldn't help but feel a little excited. He took a deep breath and calmed down. The Tuosh ancient emperor cave cut off his contact with Amon in the outside world, so he went out first and told the main body in the soul palace through the connection of the fire of destiny, and then returned to the strange fire square. A few minutes later, the main body committed suicide. With a pure spirit worm carried by Daozen Amon as a carrier, the main body Amon was resurrected again. The strength of this pure spirit worm was not high, so the main body's volume dropped significantly, and Amon's overall volume dropped significantly. Many Amon's cultivation dropped, because their volume exceeded 1/10 of their main body. There were also many Amons who exploded directly, turning into piles of meat, and their souls dissipated. This is a total upper limit that is 100 times greater than the main body. The extra Amons have lost control of their energy. What's wrong? What happened? Xiao Meng sat up from the bed. With a flash of panic in her eyes, she could feel that her upper limit had dropped significantly, and she seemed to be wearing layers of shackles. This meant that something had happened to the main body. She hurried to the attic next to her residence, pushed open the door of the other party's study without courtesy, and walked in. This is very rude behavior. Zhao Mingru tasted a glass of fine wine, sat on a chair covered with soft animal skin, crossed his legs, and looked at the sky outside through the window. You feel it too, right? Our upper limit has dropped significantly, and there is a problem with the main body. Zhao Meng said solemnly. Well, don't worry, because it's useless to worry. Zhao Mingru put down the wine glass, his tone slightly heavy. Zhao Meng said anxiously, but Master Zhao Yan is coming soon. If the main body becomes weaker, the power I can call upon will certainly be reduced accordingly, and I will not be able to help Master Zhao Yan better. The expression on Zhao Mingru's face rose. At this important moment, the main body shared the joy with all the clones, letting all the Amons know where the plan was, except Zhao Meng. So he wanted to pretend that there was a big problem and tease Zhao Meng. Amon cheated Amon. It was a routine operation. But I didn't expect that Zhao Meng was most concerned about whether he could help Zhao Yan. The clown turned out to be me. Zhao Mingru rubbed his forehead helplessly, took a deep breath, and calmed down his complicated mood. He didn't want to tease Zhao Meng anymore, and replied, this is part of the plan. Wait patiently. Amon's main body launched the soul-devouring talent towards the huge soul light ball. The soul origin merged into his soul almost without loss, and he could feel his spirit body growing rapidly. This feeling was the same as when he absorbed the soul essence in the heavenly palace. The difference was that this time his soul did not stop growing in the late heavenly realm, but quickly broke through to the level of heavenly realm great perfection. A joy of life essence improvement filled his heart. Even at this level, the soul essence left by Zhu Kun was still not consumed much, and the remaining soul was still huge. Even with the speed of Amon's soul devouring talent to transform the soul essence, it was impossible to digest an emperor soul in an instant. However, he did not spend too much time. After more than 10 minutes, he absorbed all the soul essences. His soul was also upgraded to the Emperor realm as expected. Amon bowed to Didan. Thank you for your help. With this upgrade, I'm sure I can help you leave within 50 years. Hearing Amon's exact time, Didan also showed a smile on his face, and his unhappiness was relieved a little. 50 years is not a long time. When Amon's soul realm was raised to the Emperor realm, all the clones raised their mouths and smiled. Their plan succeeded. Ants can also swallow dragons. Zhao Meng also felt light all over, as if the shackles of the cultivation limit had disappeared. She knew that the limit was still there, but the limit of the clone was already so high that she could not perceive or touch it. If her current cultivation was a glass of water, then this limit was a lake. Hey. She looked at Zhao Mingru and smiled. Uncle Zhao, can you help me talk to the main body and raise my cultivation limit? Zhao Meng's cultivation limit had an upper limit set by Amon. Once it was reached, the spirit insects would refuse to merge into her body again. Of course, she could also practice on her own to break through this limit, but Zhao Meng's level was raised by constantly gathering spirit insects. Her potential had been exhausted. With normal practice, the improvement was almost equal to nothing. Zhao Mingru said with a tut-tut sound. You really have no shame at all. Would our Amon care about losing face? Only fools need to consider their status. Zhao Meng said proudly without any shame. Zhao Mingru showed a playful smile and replied in a long tone. Of course. No. Zhao Meng curled her lips, not too disappointed. He knew that Amon would definitely not let his strength be too strong for the sake of his plan, so he just asked with the mentality of giving it a try. Anyway, you have nothing to lose by asking. Amon came to the stone gate. This time, he did not use ancient jade. He easily enlarged the loophole, weakened the seal, created a passage for one person to pass through, and walked out. Arriving in the space outside the cave, Amon smiled as he looked at the huge dragon corpse crawling on the square. At this time, he had lost his disguise and no longer looked like Zhao Meng. He had turned into a young man with dark eyes, black hair, a wide forehead, thin lips, and a thin face. He wore a pointed, wide-brim soft hat on his head, a black classical robe, and a pair of black leather boots. His whole person exuded a light bookish air, and was somewhat mysterious like a wizard. Amon slowly walked to the dragon's corpse. Zhu Kun's soul had not long left, and the dragon's corpse was still extremely active. He jumped lightly, and jumped on top of the dragon's head. Immediately afterwards, He formed complicated mudras with his hands, the secret technique of helling. Amon used the secret technique of combining dragons on Zhukan's body with his current emperor level soul. He can fully withstand the pressure of fusing the corpse of a late stage 9-star Daosheng monster. As the stars flowed, Amon's body slowly melted, and the body of the gigantic Taixu ancient dragon, which was 10,000 feet long, also slowly melted. However, because the corpse was so huge, it only melted part of the surface, and did not completely turn into a pool of liquid. The starry liquid formed by Amon merged with the purple gold liquid formed by melting on the surface of Taixu ancient dragon, and continuously flowed throughout the body of the dragon corpse. The clones in the outside world once again felt that their upper limit had increased. Xiao Meng's expression was a little dull. What did the real body do? It couldn't be that it swallowed the 9-star fighting saint or the ancient body tree, right? Wait, she looked at Zhao Mingru in astonishment, remembering the video she had recorded about Ziyang. There is no doubt what the Amons think about Taixu ancient dragon emperor Zukan. Combined with this abnormal leap in body strength, a trace of surprise can't help but appear on their faces. She took out a monocle, stuck it in the socket of her right eye, and said in a serious tone, "The main body, could it really swallow Zukan?" Zhao Mengru showed a warm smile and said softly, "Didn't you already guess it? This is crazy, rewarding, and very interesting, isn't it? Awesome, awesome." As expected, the main body is the craziest one. Zhao Mingru clapped his hands in admiration. He stood up from his chair, walked to the window, and stared at the sky with deep eyes. TSK, TSK, now, the entire Daoqi continent has no obstacle to us, and no one can be Amon's opponent. Gu Yuan can't do it, and neither can Sol Emperor. The secret technique is coming to an end, and the fusion of Amon and the dragon corpse is coming to an end. The liquid that was constantly flowing on the dragon corpse slowly solidified. A white circle appeared on the dragon's right eye socket. There were 12 moorings on his body. The original purple gold scales were also dyed a layer of starlight. Because the dragon corpse of the Taixu ancient dragon emperor accounts for a larger proportion. After the fusion, Amon became a Taixu ancient dragon, and many of the characteristics of the spiritual insect were weakened. The giant dragon's eyes, which were more than 10 feet tall, slowly opened, and stars were flowing in their eyes. An unparalleled terrifying aura emanated from it, and the entire space was trembling under this aura. A burst of starlight shone, and when the light dissipated, the dragon had disappeared, and Amon returned to his human form. He raised his right hand and put a crystal ground monocle on his right eye. He pinched the upper and lower edges of the lens and adjusted it to the most comfortable position. After feeling his own strength, he chuckled and spoke. TSK, the middle stage of the 9-star fighting saint, is not bad. Whether it is Soul Eater or Helanglong secret technique, there is a certain amount of loss. Although it is small, it is not nothing. Amon's soul was weaker than Zukan's original soul, and his cultivation level had also changed from the late stage of 9-star Daosheng to the middle stage. Well, the mid 9-star stage is enough. Now let's get the pure lotus demon fire and the void devouring flame. When the fire lotus of the 24 kinds of strange fires are smashed down, that's what Gu Yuan and the Soul Emperor will do. He muttered under his breath. Then, he prepared to leave this dead space. Just when Amon came to the edge of the space, a strong pulling force prevented him from leaving. This was the restraint of Emperor Tuoshon Zhukan, and now it was transferred to him, and he became the tomb keeper. Amon stroked his monocle, and stars were flowing above the glasses. He picked up the ancient jade of the Zhao clan and got stuck. Because the characteristics of his own spiritual insect were greatly weakened, he had to use the ancient jade's key to successfully block this bug. The pull of the ancient stone gate on him suddenly weakened, and Amon took advantage of this opportunity to escape from the space. He began to move upwards, and after a while he came to the depths where the flame lizardmen lived. When the two milky white flame lizard men saw the strange human being, they immediately surrounded him. "Human, why are you here?" Chapter 471. This is Yan and 039's world. Amon's movement slowed down slightly. He glanced at the two lizardmen, and his aura was slightly revealed. The terrifying pressure suddenly fell on the flame lizardman, causing them to freeze point at this moment. The flame lizard people felt as if they were carrying a mountain on their backs and facing an abyss. Uncontrollable fear arose in their hearts. They didn't even have the courage to escape. They could only stay in place and let others slaughter them. What are you? The leader of the flame lizardmen squeezed out these words through his teeth with difficulty. The panic on his face was clear. Amon laughed and said, "That's right. Take good care of it." He ignored them and went straight up, looking at his retreating figure. The flame lizard man shuddered and looked at each other speechlessly. I couldn't help but feel a little lucky that the other party didn't care too much. With such power, could he be a tomb keeper? A flaming lizard man guessed. Is he out yet? Something happened in the cemetery of gods. After a period of whispers, the world deep in the magma fell silent again. After arriving at the place where the fallen heart flame was, Amon first let the alien fire Amon use Fenju to fuse with the alien fire brought out from the alien fire square that had lost its origin, leaving almost only the alien fire that had no power in nature. Then use the aggregation of spiritual insects to supplement their spirituality, and then separate them to become true strange fires in their infancy. Burning technique combined with the parasitic aggregation and separation characteristics of spiritual insects allows Amon to create strange fires in large quantities at low cost. However, he also consciously controls the number of strange fires. Only those Amon who need strong combat power will hold a variety of strange fires, and will not let the strange fire Amon occupy too much proportion of the body. Because alien fire Amon is not a normal Amon form, they don't even have Amon's innate abilities such as parasitism, sealing, breaking seals, insight, space, etc. They are just a type of Amon that is purely specialized for fighting. After dealing with the strange fire, Amon casually drew the space around him, and a silver-white spiral-shaped channel with silver flames on the edge appeared in front of him. He took a step forward and walked in. In the study room, where Xiao Meng and Zhao Mingru were, they looked at the body coming out of the space passage with smiles in their eyes. Drink. A drink? Zhao Mingru stood up, opened the drawer, took out 2 clean cups, and poured wine into the cup he used before. It's good to enjoy life occasionally. I'm always chasing self-improvement and the growth of the essence of life. This will make me feel less and less like a person. Amon smiled, picked up a glass of wine, and sat down. He sat on a chair covered with the fur of an unknown monster. Xiao Meng also picked up the wine glass, walked to a chair, sat down, looked at Amon's body and asked, "What is your cultivation level now? How did you do it?" Amon smiled and said, "Here, there is only one opportunity I can seize, and one goal I can plan." He picked up the wine glass and took a sip of wine. The light red liquid spread in his mouth, and the slightly spicy taste stimulated his taste buds. After the spiciness, it turned into a light sweetness. "Can you share your plan? Although I was kicked out of the meeting, as an Amon, I should also have a certain right to know." Xiao Meng said. Zhao Mingru interjected, "I really doubt that you will tell your master Xiao Yan after you understand it." Xiao Meng leaned forward and tilted her head slightly. "My character is given by the main body, and my mission is given by the main body. They are all tasks of the main body. I have never done anything my body forbids me to do. If it is not forbidden, it means tacit approval." Amon did not agree or refute. He chuckled and said, "It doesn't hurt to talk about it. Knowing that this is a world of Douluo and gaining a foothold in the Warcraft Mountains, I have already begun to think about the future path. Because I didn't understand the world's cultivation system, I wasn't too radical at first. After all, sometimes there is no room for regret on the extraordinary path. Just like a newcomer in the mysterious world, who does not know the extraordinary path, he may accidentally embark on the assassin path. It might be better to fight against the world, and we can repair it if the foundation is broken. But in short, we are careful, and we don't make big mistakes. Due to time constraints, we don't have many opportunities for trial and error. I silently and step by step accumulated strength, explored some problems on the path of spiritual practice, and made plans at the same time. There is no doubt that Gu Yun, Emperor Hunshan, and Zhu Kun will all be my enemies on the path I have chosen. At the beginning, I was not sure that I could grow to this level in just 30 years and defeat them. Zyro inflammation is an important backup, a guarantee in the worst case scenario. Later, Yan Meng collected information about the Mohist family for me, and found clues about the fusion method, which gave me a preliminary idea. So I asked you to get close to Xian and build a good relationship. The information obtained from the snake tribe further confirmed my suspicions, and the rest will fall into place. Wu Meng. Got the Tuosh ancient emperor jade from the Zyro clan for me. Meng. Protector exchanged for me the secret method of devouring souls and improving the cultivation of fighting spirit. You brought me a jade slip engraved with images of Xian's daily life, used to get close to Zhu Kun. These come together to form the basis of this operation. Luckily, a group of spirit insects were sent to the Soul Palace Xiangang Palace in the form of prey. Amon, pretending to be Zyros, and led away Han Misheng, which gave me the opportunity to improve myself quickly. After all, if you want to get a bug, you have to reach a certain level of strength. This is the result of the joint efforts of all of us Amons. The video you recorded is of great significance. So far, our road to becoming a Dowdy has been smooth. There are only some minor problems left. Zyro Meng heard some things from Amon's narration that he didn't know before, and immediately grasped the key. What did you do to the Zyro family? Uncle Zyrozan, Amon had an ambiguous smile on his face and replied, "Don't worry, Zyrozan is fine. I used my clone to replace the entire Zyro family and was attacked by the Soul Palace instead of them. Zyrozan was not captured. The current Zyro clan is an important ally of our Amon clan. Well, by the way, Yan Meng also went to the Desert Iron mercenary group to issue a task, asking Zyroding and Zyroli to send Dao skills to Zyro Yan in the Blackhorn region. It can be regarded as saving them." The more Zyro Meng listened, the more uneasy she felt. The gifts of fate were all secretly marked with a price tag, not to mention the gift from Amon. Of course, it could also be the case that Lei Yin and Yan Jin had always been of use to Amon, and they were Amon's backup. If Amon didn't need to use his backup, he would have reached his limit and could not be upgraded anymore, and he had to leave this world. Then the gift was really a gift. So, for Zyro Yan's safety, in order to turn the gift into a real gift, she had to be more subjective and able to complete Amon's plan, to cooperate with Amon, so that he would always be smooth, and did not need to activate the backup point. Zyro Meng took a deep breath and asked, "Since the road to becoming the Dowdy has been paved, what should we do next?" Amon curled his lips and smiled. "Battle through the heavens is Zyro Yan's world, so it should naturally revolve around Zyro Yan. Just continue to play your role as Zyro Meng. The span of this power increase is too large. I can't fully master it in a short time. It takes a long time to settle. I'll leave it to you later." He tore the space and walked in. The space crack closed quickly like a zipper in the void. Disordered and chaotic space storms raged, and silver winds were like sharp blades. When the space turbulence approached Amon, it subsided spontaneously, as if it was afraid. Amon whispered to himself, "There is a kind of fire called Zyro, and there is a sequence name called Fire Stealer. In the soul world, the cold breath filled the whole world, and a wisp of black fog gathered in the sky. It seemed that countless wronged souls were roaring in pain, sharpness, and unwillingness after Han Misheng and Zyrozan arrived in the soul world. They did not get an audience with Emperor Han Shan immediately, but waited for some time. In an open courtyard, Han Misheng sat on a black stone, meditating and practicing. The black aura gathered around him into a small vortex, constantly pouring into his body. Zyrozan and Amon on the side were amazed. Is this the momentum when practicing the heavenly level skills? It's really huge, because he was in the soul world. He was not afraid that Zyrozan would run away, so Han Misheng did not restrain him, but just asked him to stay in this mansion and not go out. Zyrozan and Amon were also very sensible and did not leave, but just talked to Han Misheng from time to time. The energy vortex gradually subsided. Han Misheng finished a cycle of circulation and glanced at Zyrozan and Amon. "You don't seem to be afraid at all. Is being afraid useful?" "No." "Then why should I be afraid?" Zyrozan and Amon pinched his right eye socket and replied with a smile, "On the contrary, I'm looking forward to what kind of person the rumored Emperor Han Shan is." A figure suddenly appeared in the yard, bowed to Han Misheng, and said, "The clan leader asked you to go over." "I know." The figure suddenly disappeared. Han Misheng grabbed Zhao Zhen's shoulder and said, "Let's go and see our clan leader." The sky and the earth spun, light and shadow surged, and rich blocks of color flashed quickly. When the scenery in front of him became clear again, Zhao Zhen Amon had found himself standing on a cliff. In front of him, a slender man stood with his hands behind his back. He turned around, and his unusually bright eyes seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. The whole person gave people a gentle and elegant feeling, like a scholar who was powerless. Han Misheng bowed and said respectfully, "Patriarch, Misheng, go down first, I'll talk to him," he said in the tone of an elder to a younger person. Although Han Xiandi looked younger, he was much older than Han Misheng. "Yes." Han Misheng retreated respectfully. "Hello, Patriarch of the Zhao clan. My name is Han Xiandi, the current Patriarch of the Han clan." Han Xiandi greeted him, his voice warm and refreshing. Zhao Zhen Amon smiled and responded, "Hello, I'm Zhao Zhen, the current Patriarch of the Zhao clan." After that, Zhao Zhen Amon smiled self-deprecatingly. "If you can still be considered a member of the Zhao clan, of course you can be considered, as long as you still have the blood of the Zhao clan and hold the fragments of the ancient jade," Han Xiandi affirmed. Chapter 472 Soul Emperor. Zhao Zhen and Amon showed a smile. "Without the power of blood, is it considered a Zhao clan emperor?" Han Xian turned slightly sideways and looked down the cliff with the corner of his sight. From this highest point, he looked down at the vast land, the towns, villages and the ordinary people coming and going. "What do you think is family? Is it blood? Are outsiders who are included in the family considered members of the family?" Before Zhao Zhen and Amon could answer, he continued, "The power of Emperor Dao's bloodline is just a tool, and the relationship between bloodline inheritance is the link that maintains the family. But what really determines whether a person is a member of a certain family is the spirit and will, the ideological identity, and the consistency of the concept. If you really forget history and your ancestors on the genealogy, then the Zhao clan will truly be dead. Even if you are still alive, the Zhao clan that once gave birth to Zhao Zuan and made our clan fearful has still disappeared. But if you still remember history and there is Zhao Zuan's name on the genealogy, then you are the Zhao clan of the past. That's why I'm meeting you. As the leader of the Soul clan, I'm here to meet you, the leader of the Zhao clan. Otherwise, a great fighting master is not worth my time." Zhao Zhen and Amon clicked their tongues and sighed. "Your current mental state seems to be quite normal. Are you interested in becoming my favored one? I admire your ambition, courage, and ruthlessness and madness it all means to achieve your goals." Soul Emperor was stunned for a moment, and a trace of confusion flashed through his unusually bright eyes. "What are you talking about?" I knew every word, but what did they mean when put together? "Are you serious?" Zhao Zhen and Amon did not wait for the Soul Emperor to answer, and shook his head to himself. "Forget it. It is not convincing to say this now. Let's talk about it later. Let's talk about some topics that interest you more, such as, where did Emperor Dao go? As for other existences, you don't think they will die so easily, right, Emperor?" Han Xian's smile faded slightly, and there was a hint of concentration in his voice. "What do you mean? If I said that I knew where they went, would you believe it?" Zhao Zhen Amon asked. "That depends on your answer. If it's reasonable, then what reason do I have to not believe it?" Emperor Han Xian asked back. Zhao Zhen and Amon did not become the Riddler, and gave the answer readily. "Well, it's actually not too complicated. In short, they left this Dao key clean and went to another world. For example, in your soul world, if all the Daozan and Daozan strong men evacuate, and for some reason, no more powerful people above Daozan can be born, then after thousands of years, Daozan and Daozan will become a legend in the soul world. They may also forget the Dao key continent and think that this is the whole world. They will wonder where the legendary strong men like Soul Emperor have gone." Soul Emperor was thoughtful, silent for a while, and nodded. "It's a very appropriate metaphor. Although there have been similar speculations for a long time, your explanation makes me believe in this answer even more. If you don't become a Daodi, it's useless to say this. Yes, if you don't become the Dao Emperor, all speculations are just fantasy. Even if there is relevant information, it is just empty talk." How about making an agreement with me? Zan Amon raised the corner of his mouth and outlined a smile. You say, Zio. Zan Amon said, if you can collect the remaining 7 pieces of ancient jade, I will offer the Zio clan's ancient jade with both hands. When you become the Dao Emperor, I will also tell you the information about the Great Thousand Worlds. In exchange, you will take me, the people of the Zio clan, to Dakian. Don't worry, except for me, no one in the Zio clan knows the true history of the Zio clan. They don't have the spirit of the Zio clan, and they won't have any sympathy for your Soul clan. Hatred. Emperor Hunshan pondered for a moment and then said, is the world where Dao emperors went to called the Great Thousand Worlds. It seems that my men have not been able to find all of your clan. What else are you hiding? A big family has to make a lot of preparations, right? Maybe you can send people to find those members of the Zio family that I have hidden. If they can be found, well, they probably won't threaten me. Zio. Zan took out a crystal monocle from his pocket and stuck it in his eye socket. Emperor Sol looked at his strange behavior and said nothing. Suddenly, the scene in front of him disappeared. Emperor Hunshan, the cliff, the view from a high place. Zio Zan and Amon found themselves in a courtyard where he and Han Misheng were waiting to be received by Emperor Hunshan. Han Misheng looked at Zio Zan and Amon and asked with a strange expression, what did you say to the clan leader, Zio? Zan and Amon pinched his monocle and asked softly, are you curious? It doesn't hurt to tell you. We are talking about the responsibilities and conveniences that Soul Emperor will bear after becoming my favored one. Han Misheng's face twitched, and he was not surprised by Zio's and somewhat out of character look. He didn't know what the other party's behavior was, but after meeting the clan leader, it was no longer his decision how to deal with Zio Zan. Yes, he said to Zio Zan and Amen. The clan leader said that from now on, you are a distinguished guest of our Soul clan, but you cannot leave this Soul Emperor city. Soul Emperor city is the central city of the Soul world, similar to the capital of the empire. There are also many small branches in the Soul clan, and most of the Daosheng clan are gathered in the Soul Emperor city. Zio Zan and Amon nodded. I'm not interested in leaving either. He also needs to use this clone to locate and control the position of the Soul world at all times. Han Misheng left the Soul world and returned to the Soul palace. At this moment, a guardian hurried out and knelt on one knee in front of Han Misheng. Palace master, there is a problem with the Soul origin. His tone was trembling, obviously worried that Han Misheng would take it out on him in anger. What did you say? As expected, after listening to his report, Han Misheng suddenly burst out with an extremely dark and extremely terrifying breath. The vast breath made the guardian tremble all over, and fear rose uncontrollably. Han Misheng did not embarrass the guardian. There were too many people in the heavenly palace who were higher in status and strength than him. If he had to take responsibility, it would not be his turn. As a small Daozang with a flash of his figure, Han Misheng came to the room in the heavenly palace, where the Soul origin was stored. Black chains intertwined into a net, surrounding a roughly spherical space in the middle. Originally, the Soul origin light ball should have gathered here, but at this moment, only a small light ball in the center remained, and scattered small light balls were scattered around the room. Han Misheng glanced at the scene in the room, and based on the speed of the Soul origin gathering, he roughly imagined what happened. Shortly after he took Zio Zan away from the Soul palace, the original Soul light ball exploded, and the origin scattered and became scattered. The one in the middle was after the explosion. The black chains extracted the Soul body's origin and gathered again. He looked deeply at the strongest person who had left the Haoshan palace, the second heavenly venerable Guiyao saint. Is there anything unusual, Guiyao? Saint shook his head. I don't know. I checked these Soul origins. It seems to be contaminated by some will, and this will is difficult to remove. I tried to absorb it again with the origin absorption formation, but it didn't work, because I don't know what happened. I didn't deal with it without authorization. I just saved the scene and waited for you to come back. Han Misheng extracted a group of Soul origins and probed his soul power into it. In an instant, a vast, ancient, bloodthirsty, and crazy will rushed into his heart, making him almost lose himself. The bloodthirsty desire made his eyes red. Han Misheng, who realized something was wrong, quickly threw away the group of origins. With obvious fear on his face, he couldn't help but take a step back and said solemnly, "What on earth is this?" Han Misheng could feel that if he refined this soul essence, the will would not take away his sanity, but it would take a long time to erase it. But this was obviously not the body of the will, but just a trace of pollution left by it. I don't know how much the pollution has been diluted, it's just such a small ball that is so difficult to deal with. If it absorbs all the light balls in the room, even his soul, which is in the great perfection of the heavenly realm, will probably lose control. What kind of existence can leave such a terrifying spiritual residue? Damn, how could such a change happen? By the way, the Zhao family. If there is anything unusual, it can only be the Zhao family. The attitude of the clan leader towards Zhao can also explain something. If he doesn't have some confidence, how can an ordinary great fighting master be so confident? That weak and seemingly inconspicuous Zhao family must be hiding something. Otherwise, why would the clan leader order Zhao to be treated as a distinguished guest? Thinking of this, Han Misheng hurriedly said, "Immediately stop the soul origin absorption formation. Put down all the people of the Zhao clan and transfer them to a separate room for detention." The Bone Ghost Saint was stunned at first, and then he also thought of Zhao unusual attitude and said, "Yes." Han Misheng looked at the soul origins in the room, and his face twitched. If the pollution inside was not solved, so many origins would be almost useless. He waved his hand, gathered all the origins together, and carefully put them into a special high-level soul backpoint. Then he tore the space and rushed to the soul world point. Such a major matter was no longer something he could solve. He was worried that there was more than one polluted origin. If a solution is not found, then if there is an abnormal soul mixed in the future, the origin that has just been collected by collecting millions of souls will be unusable. The impact on their soul clan's plan will be huge. The Amons, who were disguised as members of the Zhao family and were let down from the chains by the Saint Guayao, showed a mocking smile to Guayao. "Why did you let us down suddenly? You look ugly, and you seem to be very anxious." "Shut up," Guayao said coldly. "Haha, he is anxious. He is anxious." The Amons laughed wildly and looked extremely happy. PS. I recommend a book from a group friend, Douluo. So what if I'm an evil soul master? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, Whispering from the Bloodline. The spiritual pollution and the origin of the soul has nothing to do with Amon's clones. It is the leakage of Cheyenne spirit after the original body died. Cheyenne's spirit was not dispersed into Amon's clone, but was firmly bound to his body. The soul's death tore apart the space, and he rushed all the way back to the soul world. After the notification, he was summoned by Emperor Hunshan. Sheng, what's the matter in such a hurry? Emperor Hunshan had a gentle smile on his face. Han Misheng did not dare to hide anything, so he reported everything that happened in the heavenly palace, some doubts, and his own speculations. The soul source in the heavenly temple exploded for unknown reasons, but it still remains in the room. There is no loss in quantity, but there is a kind of spiritual pollution inside that is very difficult to remove. The problem occurred when I brought Zhao into the clan. The Zhao clan was very suspicious. If this problem is not solved, it may have an impact on our 1,000-year plan. A strange color flashed across the bright eyes of Soul Emperor. Spiritual pollution that is difficult to remove. Han Misheng took out the soul light group that he had put away. Emperor Hunshan frowned and cut off a part. Han Misheng looked at the rather large ball of light in his hand and wanted to speak to remind him, but he suppressed it. The patriarch is the most pinnacle existence in this world, so there should be no problem, right? Just when he thought this, he saw a hint of madness in Emperor Hunshan's eyes. He was frightened, and his body quickly retreated. A terrifying aura erupted from the Soul Emperor's body, and the pressure of the 9-star fighting saint filled the space between heaven and earth, shrouding the entire soul world. A gleam of light emerged from the distant sky. The sea of clouds rolled, and colorful lights floated in the shape of waves on the horizon, a tide of energy. Under such power, even the 5-star fighting Saint Hun Misheng felt suppressed and horrified. What happened? Is this the clan leader? One after another, figures exuding a tyrannical aura flew up into the sky from the Soul Emperor city, staring at the tallest mountain in the distance with a look of surprise on their faces. After Soul Emperor probed the power of his soul into the original light group, he felt a vast, ancient, crazy, and bloodthirsty will rushing towards his face. This will was so majestic and vast, as if it transcended this world, and overcame all things above. Compared to the soul-destroying life, he can realize that this is something that transcends the 9-star fighting saint, and belongs to a higher level. It's related to Emperor. Because of this discovery, he did not remove these mental contaminations in time, and even took the initiative to accept some. Then his breath became unstable, and he almost lost control. Clan leader Hun Misheng shouted loudly, calling back the Hunshan Emperor's reason. There was a trace of horror in the latter's eyes, and he put away his momentum. The strange phenomena in the sky disappeared, and the energy tide receded. However, the strong men who were alarmed still stayed in the sky. Clan leader, what happened? Soul Mirror, one of the 4 demon saints of the Soul Clan, asked. Nothing, please retreat. The plain voice of Emperor Hunshan rang in each of their ears. Although they were confused, since the clan leader said so, they did not dare to pry too much, so they could only answer respectfully, yes, Soul. Emperor took a deep breath to calm down the shock in his heart, but there was still a hint of madness in his eyes. He said softly, I was careless. Misheng, do you have anything to add? No. Hun Misheng shook his head. Then, go down. After Hun Misheng left, Hunshan Emperor's bright eyes became dark. With a move of his right hand, subtle fluctuations occurred in the space. The figure of Xiaozhen and Amon appeared in front of him. Xiaozhen and Amon, who were eating dessert, calmly ate the pastries in their hands. During this process, Emperor Huntia never made a sound or disturbed him. Xiaozhen and Amon took out a piece of silk and wiped his mouth, then threw it on the ground and commented, it tastes pretty good. The Soul Emperor's aura has completely subsided, and he has returned to his gentle and elegant posture. Did you do the hands and feet in the heavenly palace? Soul Xiao, Zan and Amon showed an unclear smile. Of course. No way. No way. Use your brain and think about it. Can I do this? Emperor Hunshan was aroused by his mocking tone, but quickly calmed down. You've already reacted like this before I said anything. It seems that, even if you didn't do it, it has something to do with you. So what is it? Xiao, Zan and Amon spread their hands. I don't know, I'm just a great fighting master. Before Soul Emperor could speak, he looked solemn, and said in a low tone, are you talking about the kind of spiritual residue? Soul Emperor nodded slightly. Did this kind of problem happen again? Xiaozhen and Amon took a deep breath. His face looked a little solemn. He spoke slowly. This is a curse hidden in the blood of the Xiao clan. The frequency of occurrence is not high, but every few generations, there will be one or several people with such characteristics in their souls. We speculate that it may be the remnant of the spirit of the ancestors of the Xiao clan, a kind of Daodi, or even traces of a being above Daodi. It will make people gradually become crazy. Every full moon night, tribesmen with this trait will hear gibbering that seems to come from ancient times. Some people with strong wills vaguely heard some content from this crazy and messy raving. There are only 2 contents, but they are completely opposite. Some people heard save me, while others heard don't save me, don't save me. There is no way to tell which one is true and which one is false. We speculate that the ancestor of the Xiao clan is still alive, but is trapped somewhere and is asking for help from us through blood, but because that spirit is too evil and too scary. Some people also think that the ancestor was infected and trapped by something more terrifying. Don't save me is what he wants to express. He is warning us, the descendants, not to follow in his footsteps to avoid bringing misfortune. This kind of mumbling existed before the birth of the Dao Emperor of my Xiao clan, and it was still not resolved when the Dao Emperor existed. It comes from before the active era of the Dao Emperor, and it is an even older legacy. There is reason to believe that the Dao Emperor ancestor of my Xiao clan glimpsed the realm above the Dao Emperor from this spiritual remnant, so he left to pursue the path to a higher level. It It's said that the Tao Emperor ancestor once speculated on the identity of this more ancient ancestor, the owner of this spiritual mark. His name is Zio Men. Hearing this, Emperor Hunshan felt his body tremble slightly, and his back was wet with cold sweat. The news of the existence of the Tao Emperor and the existence above the Tao Emperor made him very excited, but the horror and evil made him feel daunted, and even a little scared. If Xiaozhen had told him these things before, he would only treat it as a story, but now he had to treat it with caution. Because he had personally felt the spiritual imprint that remained in the soul's origin light group. How terrifying and evil it was, that magnificent, majestic, ancient, vast, and bloodthirsty will. It couldn't be faked. He suddenly remembered something, a terrifying thing. When Xiaozhen first met him, he invited him to be his dependent in the tone of a superior. Could it be that Xiaozhen was also the one with a special soul and an evil and terrible spiritual imprint in his mouth? Is it possible that he was too affected and replaced by the owner of the spiritual imprint, and the one who talked to him at that time was not Xiaozhen, but Xiaoman, as an expert in controlling and using souls? Emperor Hunshan knew that through certain secret methods, a person's soul could be stitched into another person's soul without the stitched person noticing, and then replaced at a critical moment. If this method goes a step further, can the spirit be engraved into the blood, across endless time and space, and return through the body of another person? Xiaozhen Amon pinched his monocle, and said with a smile, "Are you interested in this kind of spiritual remnant? Maybe we can study it together, Huntian." Emperor looked at Xiaozhen Amon's deep eyes, as if he saw a flash of starlight. He replied, "Let's talk about it later, when we have a chance." In a flash, the scenery in front of Xiaozhen Amon changed again, and he returned to the spacious but simple courtyard. The corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a smile of a successful prank. Standing on the top of the mountain, Huntian Emperor stood against the wind, his robes fluttering in the wind. Standing there and thinking for a long time, he exhaled lightly and murmured to himself, "Zio clan, I didn't expect that there was such a secret hidden." What did you think at the time? Xiaozhen, Huntian. Emperor didn't doubt the authenticity of what Xiaozhen Amon said. At most, he felt that the news might be a little inconsistent. After being circulated for a long time. He opened his mouth, and the invisible sound line was accurately transmitted to someone's ears. A handsome man with black hair and black eyes who was strolling in the Soul Emperor city suddenly stopped. His figure twisted and disappeared. The next moment, a twisted vortex formed in front of the Soul Emperor, Patriarch. "You are looking for me." The handsome man with black hair walked out of the vortex and said softly. The Soul Emperor had put away the Soul Origin light ball and said, "Hunqiu, I have a very important task for you. Please, tell me." The Soul Emperor said lightly, "You go to guard Xiaozhen in person. If he needs anything, try to meet it. Give him what he lacks, but be careful not to let him leave the Soul Emperor city, and don't have too much communication. Remember, he is a very dangerous guy. The Zio clan is not that simple." Hunqiu raised his eyebrows, and a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. "A great fighting master. Do I need to monitor him?" The Soul Emperor did not explain too much, but emphasized again with a heavier voice, "He is very dangerous." Hunqiu's eyes narrowed slightly. What's so special about Xiaozhen? Why does the clan leader feel that he is dangerous? Chapter 474 Rules of the Trial. Hunqiu looked at the middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and a bold face in front of him. With thoughtful eyes, an ordinary fighting master, but he exuded a confident temperament. Even though he was captured and in the enemy camp, he felt no fear or uneasiness at all. "Emperor, Hunshan sent you here? I think you look very talented. Do you want to be my son?" Xiaozhen and Amon made Hunqiu's mouth twitch. As soon as he spoke, the latter replied, "I'm older than you, Zio." Zan and Amon waved their hands. "This does not affect me being your father." Hunqiu's eyes darkened, and he exuded a deep and terrifying aura. Xiozhen and Amon clicked their tongues and said nothing. Even though he was not afraid of the opponent's pressure mentally, he could not resist the physical pressure. Seeing that the other party closed his mouth knowingly, Hunqiu put away his momentum. Xiozhen and Amon pushed open the courtyard door, as if nothing had happened, and walked out. "Where are you going, Zio?" Zan and Amon answered without hesitation, going shopping, stopping by some places, to prepare for our Zio clan's counterattack on your Soul clan in the future. Although, I don't think the Zio clan can still threaten our Soul clan. Is it really okay for you to say it so openly? Hunkyu opened his mouth, and closed it again. Without saying a word, he followed step by step point in a forest outside the city of Cannon Point. The lush trees block the sunlight, making the forest look a little dark. Sporadic light spots were cast between the gaps in the leaves. Zio Yan, who was carrying an ancient ruler and dressed in black, looked at the split-winged eagle whose life breath was gradually disappearing in front of him, with a trace of reluctance in his eyes. Although the wine-splitting eagle was a gift from the mysterious man in black who had told him from the beginning that he could only live for 3 months, he still retained a bit of wisdom and stupidity about it during their interactions with him along the way. The bird also has a little more emotion. Hey, he is obviously in good health. But what is the reason that makes Brother Rang only have 3 months to live? Zio Yan sighed and said point. He tried to examine the body of the wine-splitting eagle, hoping to find the answer and solve it, and extend its life, but in vain. Yao Chen emerged from the bone flame ring and shook his head. Maybe it's a trauma to the soul. After all, it seems to be forcibly controlled. Yao Chen's conclusion was half correct. The wine-splitting eagle's death was indeed caused by its soul, but it was not an injury, but the spirit insect that parasitized it and ate its soul. Zio Yan had a problem with getting stuck, and Amon was worried about him. In order to prevent him from being late and missing the inner court examination, he specially sent this transportation tool to save him time on the road. Now that the mission is completed, there is no need for its continued existence. After Zio Yan took the magic core, he dug a hole and buried its body. After leaving the forest and walking for a long time, we returned to the gate of Cannon City. He walked to the city wall and looked at the pedestrians coming and going below, his expression a little more anxious. It has been almost 2 months since he came to Cannon Academy. He has investigated many places, but there are no clues about the strange fire. Only the rumored inner court is somewhere in this Cannon City. Tomorrow is the final trial for the inner court of Cannon College. I hope Fallen Heart Flame is really in the college. Brother Zio Yan, it turns out you are here. Zuna walked over with a smile. Looking at your frown, is there something bothering you? Seeing Zuna, Zio Yan thought of Yan Yan again. This was also a troublesome thing, more serious than the problem of strange fire. Zuna, he opened his mouth, but still couldn't say anything. He swallowed back what he wanted to confess. It's okay, it's just some troubles in cultivation. If you have any problems, feel free to talk to Zuna. I will always support you. Zuna teased her hair at the temples, unintentionally revealing her charming side. Under the setting sun, an elegant girl stood with a smile. The clouds behind her were ended golden and red by the sunlight, and the sky closer was a darker blue. Behind the calmness of the lake, there are emotions as hot as fire, just like the colors in the sky. The two of them looked at each other, and both saw the intense lust in each other's eyes that seemed to be irresistible. The two got closer and closer, and finally embraced each other. Just when they were sticking together, a discordant voice came from behind. Little pervert, Zuna, Zio. You walked over with her long legs as white as snow. Zioning and Zio you followed closely behind her. Zio Yan's forehead jumped, and he said angrily, barbarian woman, what are you doing here? Ah, little pervert, who do you call a savage girl? I'm here to remind you of tomorrow's assessment method, but this is your attitude? If it wasn't for Zio Meng's sake, who cares about your life or death? Zio you snorted. With a cry, he immediately counterattacked. The assessment method? Zio Yan raised his eyebrows, with a hint of confusion in his eyes. Isn't it a one-man showdown until the top 5 are determined? Did you think it would be that simple? Zio you smiled happily. It is said that Zio Meng's way of entering the inner courtyard inspired the deputy dean. He felt that the lottery duels in previous years were too boring, so he used a more interesting method today. A more interesting way. Zio Yan repeated. Zioning took over. I have learned that the 50 people who enter the inner courtyard will come on stage together and have a big fight. The 5 people standing at the end are the top 5 and are qualified to go to the library to select treasures. After Listening, Zhao Yan smiled. This elimination mode is quite interesting. Zuna looked at Zhao Yan and shook her head, with a hint of helplessness in her eyes. He, little pervert, have you forgotten something? In the ring competition, there is no 6th level beast pet for you to show off. Zhao Yu laughed sinisterly. The smile on Zhao Yan's face gradually solidified. He suddenly remembered that in that situation, he would most likely become the target of siege by the other 48 people besides Zuna. Zhao Ning seemed to have forgotten the unpleasantness of the Zhao family in the past, and encouraged, "Cousin Zhao Yan, I believe you can do it." That's how Zhao Meng entered the inner courtyard at that time, although Zhao Ning took the initiative to ease the relationship on the first day he came to Canon College. There was not much communication between the two afterwards, and Zhao Yan was a little uncomfortable with Zhao Ning's attitude. Just when he was about to thank Zhao Ning for his encouragement, he heard him continue. Someone opened a betting on whether you can enter the top 5. I've put all my belongings on it, so you must win. The quality of life of my cousin in the next year depends on you. Zhao Yan was a little amused and nodded. I won't let you down. After 2 years of adventure, he had long forgotten the previous unhappiness. The small conflicts between the clansmen were nothing in this foreign country. Zhao Ning, who had laughed at him, and Zhao Mei, who had alienated him, also felt cordial. After all, they all had the blood of the Zhao family flowing in their bodies. Where Zhao Yan buried the fierce wind eagle, a pale palm suddenly emerged from the soil. This palm supported the ground and exerted force downwards. Then, another palm also emerged, followed by a corner of the pointed soft hat drooping on his head. Head, neck, chest. Amon pushed hard with both hands, and the whole person jumped out of the soil. He patted the dirt on his body and muttered, "TSK, wasting resources is not a good habit." After the main body reached the 9-star Daosheng, Amon's total volume limit has reached a very terrifying level, 100 times the 9-star Daosheng. To expand the total volume to this extent, the resources required are astronomical. Although he doesn't mind killing people to achieve his goal, he won't kill indiscriminately if it is not necessary. The situation is very good now, and there is plenty of time. He can slowly accumulate clones. The secret art of merging dragons and the secret art of swallowing souls allow him to efficiently use all corpses and souls. The Amons distributed in various places began to covertly increase their own numbers. Many Amon clones sighed in their hearts. I always feel like a Ragbaka. Chapter 475 Malay. The morning sun cut through the darkness, and the soft and not glaring light illuminated the sky. The square of Canon College was already crowded with people. Every inner court selection competition is a grand event in Canon City. It is not only the teachers and students of the college, but also many residents of Canon City, and even spectators who came from farther away. Zhao Ning and Zhao Mei looked around, but they never saw Zhao Yan. Zhao Yu crossed his arms and looked at Zuna suspiciously. Have you seen that little pervert? Zuna shook her head. Is he afraid of being beaten and dare not come? Or has he been beaten by someone, so he can't come? The selection competition is about to start. Zhao Yu's index finger tapped his arm unconsciously, with a trace of worry in his eyes. Don't worry, just believe in brother Zhao Yan. Zuna smiled. Zhao Yu sighed. I really admire you. I don't know where you have such great confidence in him. There was a commotion in the crowd, and a girl in red walked in slowly. It's the little demon girl. Zhao Ning's eyes showed some strange colors. Don't be unable to take your eyes off a pretty girl. Wake up. She doesn't like men. Zhao Yu poked Zhao Ning's chest with his elbow, looking unhappy. I know he doesn't like men, but this doesn't affect my appreciation of beauty. Zhao Ning responded. Zhao Yu raised his eyebrows. Did you learn bad things from that little pervert? Ding. The crisp sound of the bell echoed in the square, and the sun rose high in the blue sky, shining brightly. The noisy sound in the square stopped in an instant. The deputy dean Hukan in the center of the square looked around. The sound, like thunder, under the effect of fighting spirit, hovered in the air of the square. 50 students who are qualified to enter the inner courtyard have been determined, and among these 50 people, we will select 5 more elites. They will be trained by the college and enjoy better treatment. So, in order to make your future path smoother, come on, students. Looking at the eager contestants, Hukan smiled. In previous years, the selection competitions were round-based, which was a bit boring. In order to make the competition more interesting, some changes were made this year. Kyan's tone was a little high. Today, we only have one game, a unique melee, in this square. No matter what means you use, as long as you stand in the square to the end, you will win. Now, please come on stage. Students participating in the competition, 49 people, including Zuna, walked onto the wide arena in the center of the square. Why hasn't that little pervert come yet? Xiaoyu stomped her feet. At this time, even Zuna couldn't help but show a bit of worry on her face. Hukan took a quick look, and his voice was a little surprised. Why is there one less person? Classmate Xiaoyan, is classmate Xiaoyan here? Just then, a figure fell from the sky, and he landed on the side of the crowd with a bang, with his legs slightly bent to relieve the impact of landing. Folding his purple wings, Xiaoyan smiled and said, "Sorry, I'm a little late." At this moment, Xiaoyan's figure leaked a strong Dao Qi fluctuation, and he had reached the level of a 9-star Dao Master. The leaked Dao Qi made Beishan, Wu Heo, and Hu Jia change color slightly. Zuna walked to Xiaoyan and rolled her eyes. "Brother Xiaoyan, I almost thought you would not be able to catch up." Xiaoyan smiled. "I was lucky to have a breakthrough, but I finally caught up." In the corner, in an inconspicuous corner, a middle-aged man wearing beige clothes, with an ordinary face and a monocle on his right eye muttered, "It's time again. I'm not so punctual for work. Since everyone is here, the in-school selection will officially begin." Hukan's figure disappeared from the center, and the voice he left behind echoed in the sky. "Brother Xiaoyan, let's go together." Zuna looked a little solemn. "Well, it seems that, if you don't show some real skills, this level will be difficult to pass." Xiaoyan smiled indifferently. The other 48 people seemed to have reached a consensus, and their eyes fell on Xiaoyan. "Hu Jia, you take 10 people to entangle Zuna, is it okay?" Beishan asked. "You don't need to teach me how to do things." Hu Jia glanced at him, but did not refuse, and looked at Zuna. Zuna, you are mine." Zuna looked at her expressionlessly. "Hey, isn't it good for us to be together? Let those stinky men go away." Hu Jia said affectionately. The students who followed Hu Jia had some unnatural looks on their faces. They were also one of the stinky men in Hu Jia's mouth. Vice Dean Hukan looked at Hu Jia, who was stubborn, and his eyes went dark. "Ha. Vice Dean, your granddaughter is really unique." A Dao Huang elder teased. "Family misfortune. Family misfortune." Hukan shook his head. The battle began. Facing a large number of opponents, Xiaoyan took the initiative to attack after telling Zuna, "Take care of yourself." Such a bold move caused exclamations from the audience. Xiaoyan used the strange fire formed by the fusion of Bone Spirit Cold Fire and Azure Lotus Earth Core Fire to perform the 3 mysterious changes of Heavenly Fire, and his level directly reached the level of a 5-star Dowling. Almost a whole level stronger than the students around, who were generally only 5 or 6-star Dao Masters. Adding to the differences in skills, fighting skills, and combat awareness, these students are no match for Xiaoyan, and are often knocked to the ground by him in one encounter. Delay time, he used a secret method. He can't hold on for long. Beishan gave orders. A cold light flashed in Xiaoyan's eyes. This Beishan had been jumping in front of him to cause trouble for him. Zuna had also said many times that this guy was a bit annoying, so he decided to knock him off the stage first. He quickly approached Beishan, causing the latter's face to change. "Stop him." Few people came up. Although everyone agreed to fight Xiaoyan together, Beishan was also their competitor. If it was a normal one-on-one battle, the top 5 would be Xiaoyan, Zuna, Wu Heo, Beishan, and Hu Jia. However, with today's big melee, the result became confusing. The reward of entering the library to choose a treasure is very tempting. Beishan's departure is also in the interests of those weaker students. Damn it. Beishan also noticed this problem. His face was ugly. Xiaoyan approached Beishan and grinned. "It seems that I didn't hurt you enough last time. It is said that the top 5 can get special rewards. I wonder if clearing you out first will make you regret it for a while." Thinking of missing the opportunity. Beishan's face changed drastically and finally said softly, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. I hope you will show mercy." Too late. He showed 2 rows of white teeth and punched hard. 8 Extreme collapse. Beishan used his fighting spirit to resist for a while, but was defeated in a crushing manner. The fist wrapped in amazing power was printed on his chest, causing him to spit blood and fly backwards. Many people felt sorry for this. Beishan's strength was obviously among the top 5, but because of this selection mechanism, he left sadly. "Hey, do you want to continue?" Xiao Yan looked at Wu Hao. The meaning was self-evident. Wu Hao's face changed slightly. He pondered for a while and chose to retreat. He is not a fool. There will be plenty of opportunities to challenge Xiao Yan in the future. There is no need to fight to the death at this critical moment. If he is eliminated early like Beishan and loses the opportunity to enter the library, it will be a great loss. Fuck, Beishan, you are a waste. Wu Hao, a coward. Hu Jia cursed angrily, and after looking at Zuna, he could only retreat. Xiao Yan and Zuna met up, and the two stood on the stage. Almost no one dared to attack them. Only Wu Hao, Hu Jia, and Beishan had enough strength and prestige to unite the students. Beishan had already left the stage. Wu Hao and Hu Jia knew very well that if they continued to besiege Xiao Yan, they didn't know what would happen to others, but they would definitely be taken away. No one wanted to lose the opportunity to enter the library because of a momentary dispute. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.